Welcome to NTR Radio. I'm Tom Forster Nubis.
I'm K-Odds.
I'm VZ Mark II.
And we have a guest in the building. Shinden9 is here.
Hello.
Yes, Shinden was here, not with us, but was with you at Anime Boston.
Yes, indeed. We did a panel. Thought it went pretty well. And now he's here to join us.
Thank you for having me.
No problem. It's always fun to have a guest on. Keeps everybody else in check. Most of the time. Sometimes it actually makes it worse.
Yeah, exactly. So first things first, here's how to get involved with the show live. What you're going to do is you're going to go to ntrradio.net, click on the IRC chat link. That'll bring you to the page with the chat. Give yourself a nickname, hit the start button, and join us in the IRC channel. Alternatively, you can take your favorite IRC client, point it at irc.horizon.net, and join us in the # or hash SLC media channel. In addition, you can get at us on Twitter at TEAnubis, at VZMK2, at Immortal_KGods, at NTR_radio, and as always, the email address to get involved with the show is ntrradio@gmail.com.
Yes. Now that we've got all the kind of formalities out of the way, how's everybody doing?
Pretty good.
Okay.
Pretty,
You're just like, I don't want to be home.
No, I don't. Oh my god, no, I don't.
You were in the place where all of us want to be.
Yeah.
Everything here is all inefficient, and there's flooding, and
One of the first things I did when I got back to my town is, first of all, it was 1 o'clock in the morning, and I wanted milk. So I was like, where do you get milk at 1 o'clock in the morning? Not Family Mart. 7-Eleven exists here, I guess. So I went down I went down to the local 7-Eleven, opened up my wallet after the milk, and I was like, "Kochira onegaishimasu." And then the woman just didn't say anything to me, and I was like, "Oh wait." And then I pull out my wallet, and I reach into my wallet, and all of my money is Canadian and Japanese. And I'm like, "Oh, I need to use my card." So I use my card, and then she kind of throws a receipt at me, and I'm like thinking, well, that was kind of rude. And it's like, I wouldn't think that was rude before, but then I almost walk directly into the door thinking it will open for me.
like I said, inefficiency. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Um,
and then I drove around for like 15 minutes trying to find my way back home in a town I've been living in for 2 months.
Wow. I was actually thinking you were going to say you went up to the local 7-Eleven or something, and you were worried about being robbed or something, simply because of, you hear stories about it, and even just about a month ago, one of them around here actually got heisted.
Oh yeah, I told one of my new Japanese friends about that. I was like, 7-Eleven here is really nice, and he's like, what? You don't have nice 7-Elevens? I'm like, no. All of the food is terrible, and most people are afraid that they're going to get robbed.
And it does happen, and if you try to pay for your gas with a credit card, your numbers will be lifted off of it.
Oh, yeah. The little town of like 6,000 people that I used to live in, you never used your card at a gas station.
No.
I used my card at a gas station once in that town, and immediately 2 weeks afterwards, I had all sorts of different weird
charges from Spain or somewhere. And...
No, it wasn't Spain. It was Popeyes in Manhattan.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
And this was 2 days before I was actually planning a trip to go to Manhattan. And I didn't feel like going there with cash.
Right. And,
so
I get that. That happened to me one time, and it's never happened since. That was when everybody first started getting cards and whatnot. And what ended up happening is I got a thing back from my bank that basically said there were charges from Barcelona.
Wow.
And I'm like, wow.
I got somebody trying to buy something at GameStop in France once.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that lesson learned, don't use your cards at the pump.
Definitely don't.
Or their ATMs either. Because because I found that out the hard way too. Apparently, most ATMs and gas stations and stuff aren't direct they're basically almost third party owned or whatever.
Yeah, so they don't have the same
Security systems
security.
and whatnot. Yeah, I learned that the hard way too. Again, this all happened years and years ago, but it was one of those early examples of identity theft, I guess. Anyway,
Yeah.
so
let's talk about stuff we're watching.
Sure.
I actually did watch stuff.
And,
All right, you guys go first.
Yeah, I'm continually watching Shield Hero. I just got to episode 16, I think.
You mean that show that promotes rape?
No, it doesn't.
No, they're saying it promotes slavery, not rape.
Rape, that's slavery. Rape is the.
I was gonna say no. It's
Rape
the
is
false
Goblin
rape
Slayer.
accusation.
Right.
That's the big problem there. No, so and that's enjoyable, but the big thing is I went and again I felt dirty doing this. I held my nose and went in. Went and saw the Code Geass movie.
Right.
I enjoyed it. I did not enjoy the crowd, and I'm gonna rant about that for a second.
Sure.
Okay, speaking of differences in crowds, probably from here and there. Oh, geez. Okay, so I go in there. I find a good seat. I like to sit in the back. I like sitting up higher. No real reason. It's just a comfort thing. I don't like tilting my neck straight up to Anyway, so here's what ended up happening. There were surprisingly more people than I was expecting. Okay, that's fine. That's all well and good, except their behavior. They talked the entire movie before until the end of it and the credits going up.
Oh, God.
Nonstop. They were on their phones the entire time, which is really bad because you're getting like the reflecting light dinging off of it and hitting you in the eye when you're trying to read subtitles.
Oh.
That's fun. And people were eating really loudly, like
Oh, that's even worse.
inhaling, just ingesting like a vacuum tube at the bank, like popcorn. and they were almost all of them were these morbidly obese, balding dudes.
And they were probably laughing at stuff that wasn't like really funny.
Dude, they were laughing shit on their phone.
All right.
That's what I'm saying. Is these people acted like they were at home in their recliner, sucking down Cheetos.
You know what I find hilarious? All of those
I didn't
people
find anything funny about this.
Well, no, this is funny in a cosmic sort of way. All of those people are people who paid to be there,
Yeah.
as opposed to the crowd at Anime Boston who went in. It was a free event. You didn't even need to get a ticket for it. If you got in line, you got into the event, and they were all very well behaved.
The women were fine. They weren't talking or fucking with their phones or anything. They were just sitting there and watching it. It was all these middle-aged, balding dudes that were breathing out of their mouth. Not even hyperbole. They were breathing out of their mouth. Like you could hear it. And they were like doing the snorting thing. Like when somebody's laughing in their voice like that. Yeah, and it was just like, am I in a fucking Rogaine commercial? Like, it was horrible. Well, yeah, you would look down and all you would see is a row of bald heads. Like only on the top. The rest, they had the rest of their hair. And it was like
a carton of eggs.
yeah, exactly. It's like, wow. I mean, you hear stories like that, and you're just like, yeah, that's all stereotypes. You know, they're not all like that, but you wouldn't know that if you went to see this. Holy shit! Some of them stunk too.
Nah, I figure.
Like, wow. The like nobody ever go, dude, guy. Here's some Irish Spring. I'll give you some for free.
Like between a gym locker room and like a Super Smash Brothers tournament, where would you put that?
Yeah, that's a really good kind of balance there. It's one of those things where I was sitting at the top and they were sitting in the middle, and I could still smell them. And I'm like, fuck, does nobody here have a mirror or a bathtub? I mean, obviously I do, but, you know. But I don't know. maybe I just picked a bad time. It was only showing once that entire day, so it was 1:00 on a Sunday. Anyway, the movie was fine. I enjoyed it. Did not enjoy the crowd. Again, it was one of those. Put it this way: those stereotypes you see of like deranged My Little Pony fans.
Right.
That's kind of what the crowd was like.
Yeah.
I don't know. Given the aesthetic of that show, you'd think the Code Geass fan base would be a bit more, put together.
Yeah, no.
They were put together all right. In a Mountain Dew factory.
What they were put together of is questionable.
So again, good movie. Enjoyed it. Did not enjoy the experience. And I have to say that's the only time that's happened so far that I've seen an anime movie in the theater. Whenever I saw like No Game No Life, Zero, and all that, none of that kind of crap.
And given the aesthetic of that show and that show's main characters, you'd think that would be the reverse.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
It wasn't. I mean, seeing is believing, and
Go
smelling
to the No Game
too.
No Life showing, and it's people like they look like they're going to the opera in 1700. There's people with the little binoculars on the stick.
Yeah, the little golden like. You see it like in all the old Warner Brothers cartoons and stuff and Looney Tunes. They're like up on the top. They're kind of looking down.
Well, no,
Yeah,
they're in the regular theater. They just have the binoculars. They have top hat and cane.
Ooh.
Oh, where are you going? The No Game No Life showing.
What are you? Are you trying to see Jabril's freaking pubes or?
Yeah, that's what the binoculars are for.
That was my point. That was a good movie too, and the experience was actually good. So there you have it. But that's really about all I was watching. I was going to rewatch Martian Successor Nadesco.
I've been meaning to rewatch that for a while, actually.
And the thing is, I'll forget about it, and then I'll hear the theme song in my head and go, "Oh yeah, I need to rewatch that."
Yep.
And then I'll end up forgetting again because something happens, like my car's giving me trouble or something will happen. Some sort of cosmic Cthulhu demons just plaguing my day-to-day life. And also around here, at least, I'm not in Texas, but where I am, it actually is flooding a bit. So that's always nice.
Yeah.
So
There you
I started on Eureka 7.
Oh, okay.
So that's a show I've been meaning to actually sit down and watch for a while. So I'm 2 episodes into that one, enjoying it so far. Enjoying it a lot better than when I watched it back when it was like an Adult Swim, where I caught it in like the middle of the series and had no idea what the hell was going on.
Well, that would be kind of like if you just dropped in randomly in something like a Comic Got Kill or something. You'd be
Yeah,
like,
I've only seen bits of it, like through again Adult Swim, but probably that put me off with the dub.
See, the dub didn't bother me, but I am watching a subtitle this time.
Mm-hmm.
it can. That I should point that out. When I saw Code Geass the movie, it was the subbed version, obviously. It was showing dubbed later that week, but I figured if I was going to see the subbed version, less annoying people would be there.
Oh, maybe you miscalculated.
Boy, was I wrong about that.
Yeah,
Can
go
I
ahead.
go?
Go ahead,
What
VZ,
do you-
because I'm all set.
Okay. So was it besides the usual season stuff that I've been watching, especially again the best show of the season is Senko-san, the Helpful Fox.
Yeah, that's the one with all the memes that are popping up.
That's the one people are like saying, "Oh, this is lolicon otaku bait type of."
So,
Yeah.
I mean, like, you say that like it's a bad thing.
Yeah, even though she's 800 years old.
Ah, yes, the infamous age progression of Anamu.
But I am halfway into Victory Gundam now.
Oh, neat.
So I'm
The
up
thing-
to
I gotta ask you, no spoilers, of course.
right.
But Do you understand what people mean when they say it's as dark as Zeta?
Yes.
Son of a bitch. What? I mean, he was in a dark place when he wrote that one too. Like, wow. Okay.
Well, you know what? Even though I'm halfway, I'm really thinking that this might be my favorite Gundam TV series.
It's up there. People for some reason don't really. It's not that they don't like it; it's they don't really talk about it. And
That's exactly what it is. I don't see a lot of like clamoring or not because it's old, because there's a lot of old shows people talk about. But...
I think it's because it's not connected to the 1 Year War in any way. It has nothing really to do with Zeon or Char or anything like that.
Yeah,
and thus a lot of people are just kind of like, eh.
The one thing I'm really enjoying besides the design work, is just stuff happens every episode. Stuff is happening every episode. It's not.
That was the appeal of Zeta as well.
I'm not bored. I'm not, just draining.
It doesn't have like filler arcs or crap like that.
No. Like again, everything that Victory is doing right, or at least is turning. I shouldn't say turning me on, but you know what I'm saying. I'm finding appealing that.
Newsflash: VZ is sexually attracted to the Victory Gundam. No, not the characters, the actual Gundam.
Again, as I said, I couldn't finish Wing Gundam.
Okay.
Couldn't finish Gundam.
He's not sexually attracted to the Wing Gundam.
I also felt like rewatching Char's Counterattack.
Good
because
call.
I got a Shaken Master Grade.
That's always a good call.
Yeah, and that's one that I actually own the Blu-ray of, so that's...
I need to upgrade on that one. That's one when I go to A-Kon here in a little over a month, I'm going to be probably picking up a couple of the ones I either don't have or I need to upgrade to Blu-ray.
Yeah, definitely the stuff like OVAs and movies is the best thing for the OVA.
The Blu-ray format.
You mean the Blu-ray? Yeah.
The Blu-ray format, yeah, sorry.
Yeah, the thing is a lot of them, we still don't have, let's see here. Seed, I know they're still working on because of a new dub. That's why that's taking so long.
Right.
I don't really care about a new dub, but anyway.
A new short format show premiered. People that really like feet are gonna love this one.
Holy shit! Like, you just any foot fags that are listening to this just completely had an orgasm.
It's a very targeted demographic.
So it's called Miru Tights.
Oh yeah, I saw somebody pointing out.
And it's an anime about girls in tights and pantyhose. That's it.
That's the whole thing.
It's 4 minutes.
No.
And that's great. That's almost like what the hell was that show? Bikini Warriors or whatever it was. That short where it was just like these really compact short bikini themed things.
Right.
I think that's a new market there. Well, not new, but a newer way of marketing things. It's like, okay, let's take a fetish, an anime, and just make these little shorts and completely target at them 110%.
Well, that was like One Room.
I remember that one.
Yeah, well, that had 2 seasons.
Yeah.
So.
I know a lot of people don't like this new Strike Witches one. Short.
No, that is abysmal to watch.
Most people. God.
I was actually going to ask you, K-Gods, if you've seen Brave Witches. I
have seen Brave Witches.
Yes.
But I was wondering if they did the same thing. So episode 7 of season 1 and 2 of Strike Witches was always like a major fan service episode. I was wondering if they continued that tradition.
It's been a while since I've watched it. I'd almost have to look and see. But I did watch it. It's got like
3 years ago.
Yeah, it's got a lot of muted color palettes and stuff. Like it, I know it takes place in Eastern Europe. A lot of it does.
Mm-hmm.
So that's probably why they had that kind of drab, kind of gloomy overlook to it.
Yeah.
I know that the release is like they fixed a lot of stuff from the
right, because they did. I know have a lot of errors that they and I don't know if that's still a thing, but they seem to kind of what the hell? I don't know how I want to word this. Shit. I totally had a brain fart.
Well, I know they fixed a lot of the very questionable CG that they had going on for a lot of the series.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Yeah.
Well, they were aliens, so you could excuse it.
Well, not the aliens.
Yeah, not the aliens, the characters.
Oh,
Yeah.
okay.
They had some kind of really kind of wonky looking parts.
Yeah, there was a lot of 3D. There was a lot of like CG from when they were flying around and such.
Right. The worst thing about the Strike Witches universe is that every new series they have, it definitely seems to be just by another studio.
Yeah, the only time it was ever the same was the second season and the movie.
And
Right.
that was Gonzo had gone under before the second season came out.
Right, because
Yeah, I
remember
AIC picked it
correctly.
up, right?
Yep, AIC.
Yeah, AIC did the second season and the movie. Then the OVAs and Brave Witches were done by
Silverlink.
Silverlink. That's
Okay.
right.
I just went and looked it up because I was curious now that you mentioned that. And it doesn't appear that they did that, really.
All
But
right.
there is something funny about it, though. When I popped it in to basically look at it, I just went through Google because I'm lazy about it.
Naturally.
But you guys, you better be sitting down for this one. The site that I went to that had the sort of recap of it,
Yeah.
it's called rightwingotaku.wordpress.com.
Wow.
Oh, geez. Right.
I was like, wow, that's interesting. That's kind of interesting. Now, I'm
wow,
not saying
here
this
it is.
Did you find it?
Yeah.
And the thing is, it looks like just kind of a generic WordPress. It's
Yeah, it
even
looks
got
like someone
the-
made it yesterday.
right, and they didn't like tweak it at all. I'm not saying they're a bad person or anything. I'm just saying it's kind of funny, and it's still going because they updated it in April 27th
It's an old school
this year.
episodic anime blog.
Yeah, it's simple, but I guess it's kind of cool. And it's a military otaku, unsurprisingly. Anubis is like rubbing his like arms like
I'm down. Well, listen, people used to think I was right wing because I ran fucking Task Force MOE.
It's
Did
called
not-
an aesthetic.
Hey.
Wait, you ran that?
Yeah, that was me.
Oh shit!
Small world. Okay, this actually goes back to August 2012,
Damn. So this is an old school episodic anime
and
blog.
this is before like Gamergate or any of that shit.
Yeah.
Unless you believe like Jezebel or
Oh,
whatever, and they
yeah.
think we have time travel and shit.
Oh jeez.
Well, Anubis does.
Yeah, allegedly. Well, yeah, people used to think I was right wing just because
And
I
white,
liked
too.
Moe. Yeah, and white. So
Oh.
hey, maybe this person's just like me.
Yeah, I mean, there doesn't appear to be anything that like, because this clearly was made way before any of the kind of the
Any of
what
this, yeah,
anime
any,
right thing or whatever.
yeah, any of this
Yeah.
bullshit going on now popped off.
Yeah, it basically says, oh wow, what's this? I'm looking at the about. It says, so who am I? Those who have some knowledge of Japanese language may chuckle at my name. It was a 12-year-old's attempt to write his name in katakana. Get over it. I made a mistake. Preferred I'm in, early 20-somethings. I graduated from George Mason University with my conservative approach to life, religion, yada, yada, yada. Okay, so this person just seems kind of like he was more in your kind of territory. And I kind of guessed that simply by the fact that he started this in the
My
early
proud
2010s.
Christian informed my ability to watch Panty Girl.
Yeah, yeah. I mean, Yeah, we do got to kind of laugh at that. It's all right. Yeah, because I see Emmanuel in striped panties.
Oh,
Well, I just destroyed the Christian vote on our show.
I mean, to as if it wasn't already destroyed by all the other really offensive stuff we talk about. Let's be real.
Or just me, for that matter.
Because I was going to talk about something else, but I'll save that for another show.
I do have to put out something before we get too much further into it, because I was just thinking about it. Since I mentioned I was going to A-Con, there's an incident.
Not the rapper, the anime convention.
Yeah. I was very really familiar with that even until I ran across it. Anyway, so here's what ended up happening. Do I want to name names? I don't think I do.
No, not
Okay.
necessary.
So we'll just call him an asshole.
Because he is.
Yeah. So some asshole basically added the A-Con official site, right? And said one of my buddies was being like, a bigot and a homophobe and all this other stuff because, well, they're not a PC person. And basically trying to get him to where he can't go. Now, see, this affects me by proxy because he booked the hotel. So if for some reason that actually went through, I'd be fucked.
Right.
So, yeah, you're a little bitch. And if you're listening to this, good. You are a little bitch.
unlikely, but whatever.
Yeah.
No, it's just a bitch ass thing to do.
It really is.
I don't
It's
like this person,
really?
so I'm gonna try and get them banned from an anime for some shit they didn't do.
It's deplatforming, man. Which I'm about sick of hearing about that.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, you're not heroes. You're fucking annoying people.
Well,
Okay.
in this case, it's like, no, you're definitely not a hero. You're trying to get someone.
You're a petty little bitch, is what you are.
Well, you're trying to get someone punished for some shit they didn't do over some personal bullshit that could have been settled like an adult, but
No.
the
Get this.
the decision was not made to settle it like an adult.
It gets better than that. It gets way better than that.
And the thing is, I know who you're talking about, and I know this is a person who's talked shit about me behind my back.
I know what you're talking about too. I'm not gonna say.
But it gets better because I don't know if it was before or afterwards, but they also said, you want to fight, come and get some, wherever, Texas or whatever. And it's like, yeah, right.
Fight.
It's like, come on, man.
You want
Get
to?
out of here.
Oh, you want to fight?
This is-
Come get
this
some.
is like
By the
elementary.
way, teacher, this person said a bad thing.
yeah, exactly. It's like, wow. First off, I know the people involved, and that would be a real fucking short fight. I mean, there would be 2 hits.
Didn't we used to make fun of these people back in elementary school? Like the person who
The tattletale.
went to tell the teacher when something went wrong, even though it didn't affect them and nobody was harmed.
Yep.
And it's all, and they also have that same. It's sort of the. It kind of reminds me of the people who ask for more homework, except it's instead of that, they're basically trying to be a good little student kind of facade, even though they're
Right.
actually not.
Yeah. And what's more, it's like, what are these people trying to prove, and to whom? Do these people
It's
think
virtue
they
signaling.
could think? And like, do these people think the people they're signaling for are gonna help them?
No.
Do they think they're gonna anything? Do they think they're gonna get anywhere by doing that?
No, it's pure spite.
It's what I
Once
always
they
say.
It's blood sport.
I wouldn't even say it's blood sports. It's
Not
we-
if you knew
we-
the person we were talking about, you would never
yeah,
say it's blood
we've
sport.
transcended. We've transcended in cancel culture, and now we're into tattletale culture.
Okay, I think we should move along because
Before we move along, I just have to say this one thing, and it's the same thing I've said a trillion times, but apparently people don't get the idea. Don't affiliate politically, because the people who like you for that don't really like you, and the people who hate you for that actually do hate you.
Exactly. Because I've gone on like political tangents on Twitter, and I used to do it on Tumblr a lot. and I'd get a huge boost in subscribers and followers and stuff. But then like that would just drop off because
See, I'm very careful to say political stuff on Twitter, and sometimes I
Yeah.
type something. I'm like, nah, I should get, I should, because
Wait,
I don't want to start.
You mean you've stopped before you've done something?
Gee,
wow.
if
That's
more
what a concept.
if more people did that, we'd have a lot. The world would be a much better place.
Yes.
We're up against the break. Keep it right here on NTR Radio.
眠らない誰もが思う
Welcome back to NTR Radio. So the reason we brought Shinden9 in this episode is he recently got back from Japan, and we're going to be talking about the concept of the West affecting the production of Japanese media, specifically anime and otaku media.
Yeah.
Mm.
So, I just want to start this off by saying, like, we talk about this all the time, how merchandising affects how successful an anime is or not. And the thing is, a lot of people here are like, oh, if I buy so many figs of this thing, then it's going to be considered successful and stuff. And it's like, I've been to conventions for about a decade now. And just like even the bigger ones, it's like you go to Akihabara and like more money is spent in like 15 minutes in that town compared to like an entire year's worth of cons. It's
So,
just
it's not even
mind-boggling. It is mind-boggling. And the thing is, like, Japan, people try to downplay the domestic market all the time, and it's usually people who have an interest in downplaying the domestic market. Usually,
so like A&N or something like that.
Not A&N. A&N is just on their own, doing their own bullshit. But Crunchyroll and
Okay,
places like
yeah.
that.
All right, that makes more sense because
So-
they have a direct financial investment in it doing well here.
But then, even looking around at the demographics things, like Facebook, I'm part of some Nendroid photography groups and stuff, and everybody is from Malaysia. You get like a few people
That's
from
interesting.
yes, and then walking around Akihabara, all the foreigners, it's like everyone's from like Southeast Asia, and you get like a few people who are from like elsewhere, and usually it's like France. France is a big one.
Of all places.
Yeah. Oh, France. The French absolutely love anime, like a point that you wouldn't believe.
Why
But-
is it so few like American people there?
I honestly, I was asking the same thing of myself because I was like in a foreigner-friendly hotel, and I was the only American there, except for one night where a couple of guys came in, puked all over everybody's shoes, and
Oh,
got
fuck.
kicked out.
Wow. Like they're just reliving that old George Bush Senior.
I was just thinking that. Wow,
Where like he's just
we're not having this shit again.
nope.
So I was the only American hotel for 2 weeks. The other person who was like even from North America, there was a Canadian woman who was from Montreal, was on the same flight as me. Didn't know this until we actually talked to each other a couple days later. She also has friends in Boston, and she's spent a lot of time in Boston and New Hampshire. So she was like the only person I could talk to be like, yeah, I'm still on the same planet is where I came from. But she'd be like, oh yeah, I've been to this place and that place, and I told her that I used to work at an amusement park in New Hampshire, and she's like, oh yeah, I've been there before, and I was like, yeah, I ran the train. But anyway, so I was like the only American I saw for almost the entirety of my trip. The only other times that I saw Americans were one, I had met up with a friend that I'd had on Twitter for a while, Kamade Koko, and he wanted to meet up with me because he was in Japan at the same time. But the only other time, I went to Yokosuka, which is a big naval base for the United States in Japan, and I saw some people, some sailors, and I tried talking to them. I said, hello, and they just rolled their eyes and then walked in the opposite direction.
Wow.
Yeah.
So like, could you detect whether it was just like, oh no, it's one of those weebs, or, or one of
I
the,
was
was it
I
like
was
that, or
for the duration of the trip, I was dressed pretty normally.
okay, so it wasn't
Like,
like you were like the one video of the fat guy in the Evangelion shirt and the
oh god, what was his name? David Kuhn or
something
something.
like that.
David Doe.
Davido.
David Doe.
Oh god. And then he just like goes into his friggin' where was he even staying? It was like a single, it was like a My Sony Koku style living arrangement, and he was just in like
and
a
he was
Tommy
doing
room.
this dance with the idol thing.
It's
Oh,
like,
God.
ooh.
That was
I think
painful.
we've all seen it.
Yes. That brings back memories of like early YouTube for me.
Garugamesh.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
Oh,
I'm
That
sorry.
turns
I'm
10
sorry I
years
had to
old
bring
now.
that up, guys. I'm
That
sorry.
officially turns 10 years old.
I was basically dressed like Shinji Ikari.
Oh, just like the white shirt, the regular kind of pants, and
Yes.
okay. So
And I
nothing
had-
like nothing that screams, "I'm here to pilfer your otaku goods."
Yeah. So
Yeah, see, that will be me. That will be, oh no, they all like hide in their shops. It's like, you know, when the guy arrives in like a western town and then everyone like just goes into their little shops and
Everyone
closes-
shuttering their saloons. Oh no, it's VZ. He's here to raid our country, our entire country, of all of our.
See,
All of
you're,
our
you're
robot
saying that,
damashes.
but all I'm thinking of is that scene in Jurassic Park, where like they've got the cup of water on the thing, and all of a sudden you just see seeing it shaking and shit. It's like, uh-oh, trouble.
Oh. But yeah, just walking around Akihabara, you didn't really see many people from Western countries very much at all.
Mhm.
It was all like 90% Japanese, especially during Golden. I was there during Golden Week, which is a mistake. Don't do that.
That's
You ever
I,
make your
I,
plan.
It's a
yeah,
bad call.
no offense, but I could have told you that because
Yeah.
Japan basically shuts down that week.
My thing was I planned my trip saying, okay, so I want to be there during the end of the Heisei era and the start of the Reiwa era because it's a very special time to be there.
Right.
But what I
Yeah, one
didn't
of a
think
kind.
about, yes, exactly.
Did,
But what
did
I didn't think about was Golden Week was happening at the same time. It was literally 10 days of holidays.
Ooh.
And there were a
Um,
few stores I wanted to go to that I didn't get the chance until my last day there.
Ooh.
Crap. And yeah, I'm sure the crowds got a little nuts too.
No.
Really? I mean, during the last day when things would be back open or whatever.
The crowds, so the last day things were open was a Tuesday. I tell you, visit Japan when there's no holidays going on because you can go literally anywhere in Akihabara and not have to wait in a line for anything.
Ah.
Huh. Interesting.
Yes.
As opposed to our conventions where being in a line is part of the con.
Yeah.
Whew.
And the amount of stores, like, Japan is just a haven for any sort of hobbies you might have. Like, I
Right.
started getting into things that I thought I wasn't into anymore, which was cool.
How many eroge start off like that?
It's like you want to make your custom doll, right? Well, there's a doll. You can find every matching thing that you need to make your custom doll character.
Well, right, and then you've got all your toy collectors, the whole airsoft thing.
Yeah, Ichigoya and Essen Graph are two major places you want to go to for that. Ichigoya is more airsoft stuff.
Anubis is sitting there with his notebook. Uh huh.
Ichigoya is like more modern airsoft stuff, but if you want to get like classic stuff and modern Japanese stuff, there's another place. It's on, I think, the 5th floor of one of the buildings at the north part of Akihabara. It's called Essen Graph. But the thing is, you go in there, and I was like, it's the only place in the world I can find Japan Self-Defense Force uniforms
Ooh.
and not spend like $500 on them.
Yeah, exactly.
So I got a full uniform, a full BDU set for about 90,000 yen. So it was a little pricey, but it was worth it for me. But then there's like an entire half of the store, and it's all Nazi shit.
Yeah.
That does not surprise me.
They're not particularly shy about. You're not gonna find that stuff in an airsoft store here, but over in
No.
Japan, they're not shy about it.
Well,
Yeah,
that. There's a couple of reasons for that. One, first off, they were part of the Axis powers. People kind of seemingly forget that over time for some reason.
Mm.
And there's also the kind of they don't really have they weren't under the boot of it.
Yeah.
So they don't really have the same kind of opinions of it. The same thing's true with India, believe it or not. There's all
Thailand
kinds of
too.
Yeah, I've heard Southeast Asia in general, or in Mongolia too. But India specifically, like you can get Mein Kampf on the same shelf you get like Newsweek.
But yeah, the Essengraf, they'll have American uniforms, British uniforms, modern German uniforms. All of this is like old school and new stuff. But then they'll have like American Marine uniforms right next to an SS uniform.
That's interesting.
And like armbands out the wazoo, all sorts of stuff. And I'm like looking at all this stuff.
Do they have like
that shit you can never bring back?
No,
Yeah.
that would just be a nightmare trying to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they couldn't arrest you actually for it because even owning it would still not really violate any laws per se.
Yeah.
Unless you have a layover in a country like Canada or France.
Oh yeah, like
Right.
if you get stopped in Europe, that shit's going away.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there is to it. I think you might survive in maybe like Poland or of all places, Poland.
Yeah, which is weird.
Yeah, Poland or maybe Switzerland, maybe.
Oh yeah.
Because Switzerland's just one of those don't give a fuck countries.
Yeah.
I mean, even now when they're trying to shove all these like new laws and stuff, they're basically just like no.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, they have like all sorts of different stuff. But the thing is, like you go to plus like in New Hampshire we have a chain of places called Army Barracks, and they do foreign and U.S. stuff. The thing is, you can get like a full set of German BDUs for about $15 here, and it'll cost you about $85 to $90 in this store. So that stuff is pricey, but it's like the only place I could find Japanese stuff. There's another military T-shirt shop. It's on the north side of a park to the west of Akihabara, and I'll need to send you guys a link to that if you're interested in it. But
Sure.
they have mostly T-shirts and stuff, and they have like a really good selection of T-shirts. But
Except most Americans probably can't fit into them.
yeah, that's true. I got something for my Air Force friend who's super into anime and Soviet stuff. And I
Okay.
got-
You would think that even the otaku over there that they would make a larger size for.
Yeah, but that's just it. Their sizes are their extra large is still just a large.
I know.
Yeah.
Yes,
I
I have some Japanese shirts.
It is a me-sized country, so everything I got was medium, and it all fits me. And I feel like I'm not a manlet when I'm there.
That's funny. So you were mentioning about all these uniforms and stuff. Did they go further back and have stuff like Civil War crap or?
No, not really. It was like
Okay.
pretty much.
Okay, that makes sense. That's probably not nearly as much of an interest as it is to people here.
Yeah, they didn't really
They
have
actually
any...
have magazines about that fucking shit here. I was at the grocery store where they have the guns and ammo and all that crap, and they basically had like the Civil War times and things like that, you know, where it's just them talking about battles and weaponry and all kinds of shit.
So I'm going to go on a tangent that's sort of related to this.
Sure.
A lot of countries will have like different wars that they try to like remember, just to be like, yeah, we were the good guys in that one. So
Oh, jeez.
and there was like, so for the United States, it's like you go like the Iraq War had some problems. The Vietnam War had some major problems. The Korean War, nobody remembers. So everybody always harkens back to World War II. For Japan, the war they go back to is the Russo-Japanese War.
Oh, geez. Where they royally kicked their ass.
Yes, and they really go hardcore on that. And I was thinking that it was like, I went to see the Battleship Mikasa because they have the Battleship Mikasa, which was the flagship for the combined fleet during the Russo-Japanese War. And
that was around when they started to really modernize their military and start just and again you wouldn't think that they would have been able to beat Russia at the time, but boy, they did.
Oh yeah.
So they really go back to the Russo-Japanese War a lot, and you'll see that a lot. I went to Yasukuni Shrine, and they have a lot of things related to the Russo-Japanese War. Heihachiro Togo has a shrine devoted to him just right next to Takeshita Street in Harajuku. And it's a very nice, calm, serene place. It has a huge koi pond and everything. And then you take this like exit out of it right in the middle of Takeshita Street, which is like the worst place in Tokyo I have been. It's just smelly and noisy, and it feels like a beachside carnival. But anyway, so Japan always goes back to the Russo-Japanese War when they want to think of the war that they were the good guys in.
Yeah, because America won't let them try to play the World War II bit.
Yeah, there's also a lot of like there is a bit of lost cause symbology behind World War II, but for the most part, people don't really want to talk about World War II that often.
I can understand that for various reasons.
There was a German guy who was staying in the hotel with me, and he was making small talk, but I kind of tried to avoid him a little bit.
Uh-oh.
Germans are very opinionated, and I didn't want opinionation when I was there. But
okay.
The thing was, he was he was like, oh yeah, I went to this spa the other day, and he was talking about how everybody found out he was German, and there was a bunch of army sympathizers in there, and they were making friends with him and buying him his beers and everything. And then in the same breath, he completely shit talked the entire Japanese and started citing all these things that the Chinese Communist Party uses as propaganda and stuff.
Oh shit! Yeah, so it's one of those guys.
Yeah, and I'm yeah, well, that's the whole thing. Is I'm thinking to myself, I'm yeah, they're gonna super on board with the German guy when he comes in, but what they don't understand is he's gonna be shit talking you later on. But anyway,
yeah, if he's going to do that, you know how much shit he's going to complain about imperialism with the U.S. and whatnot.
Yeah,
I mean, you know he's thinking that, at least, certainly if he's not saying it.
But that's the thing. I casually at one point mentioned that I have a Jewish family member who inherited a very large amount of money, and then he got kind of pale-faced. And then he's like, I can't tell you what's on my mind. And I'm like, wow, so I guess you guys learned the wrong lesson there. Anyway,
wow.
So
Germans in Tokyo.
Yeah, that's
the adventures.
Sounds like
not only that
sitcom.
Don't let him into that fucking shop you were talking about earlier. He might flip out.
I didn't even mention it to him, and I was like, he's going to be leaving before Golden Weekends, and they're closed anyway, so we're good.
But you got to admit, from the background, it would be funny. If you were a fly on the wall.
That would have been great. I should have invited him out and be like, oh, there's this cool store that you love it. It even has a German name.
Scheiße! Just goes running out of the fucking... Ah!
He's looking around for cameras, making sure that the government isn't.
Yeah, just tracking him or something. Yeah, that's funny.
So another.
What's funny is we actually have a large German listening audience according to our stats.
Yeah, well, no, this has been true for a while, and I don't know why this is, and I don't even know if it's still
very
true.
Strange.
Germany came after the United States, like right after the United States.
Like, and it's not close.
It's by quite a bit, but Germany has been for a while, and I don't know if this is still true, but for some reason Germany was, for a long time, our second highest listener base by country.
Oh,
It's about the Erica emblem I have.
Probably.
Actually, well, that's not true because I didn't used to use that one. I used to actually. Oh no, that's even worse.
That's worse.
I used to use Garen Zavi.
oh.
You know, the space Hitler. That's that does not bode well, guys.
Oh god.
Oops.
So,
But yeah, so I actually, going back to our topic, I actually do have some statistics to reinforce what Shinden is saying, because by 2016, so in 2015, the highest number of contracts for animation going to the anime industry were from outside Japan, were coming from the United States. By 2016, U.S. had dropped to 4th behind China, South Korea, and Taiwan.
So basically, it's probably farming out to local Asian countries there.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And important, over the United States. And for some of these, it's not even close. Like the U.S. is at 228, China's at 355.
Right. I think that would probably also be a situation of just being local. I mean, relatively so.
Certainly, but my point is, if nothing changes by the next Japanese animation industry report, then the U.S. will be on a downward trend behind all these other Asian countries.
Which, by the way, we will be covering that when it becomes pertinent.
Oh, absolutely! I love these reports.
Yeah, they're interesting.
Does that factor into what I've talked about in the past about U.S. Japan co-pros?
No, I don't believe so.
No, I don't think that honestly has much to do with any of this. I think that's more what ends up happening is places like Marvel and whatnot fork up their end and basically go, "Hey guys,
Yeah, give us we'll give you money to.
Well, it would be the involvement of American companies with anime production. So like Crunchyroll sitting on production committees that would be involved in this. As far as what I understand of it.
You mean you don't want to watch High Guardian Spice?"
You know what?
You know what's amazing? You know what's aming?
I can feel poor Shinden, like just like
not a single fucking word since that trailer.
no, like it dropped off. So not even really bad mouthing. It just died off.
Yeah, there's a fucking reason for that. It's because number one, nobody asked for this. Number two, the trailer they came out with said nothing about the show at all.
Except
so
for
what is there for anyone to
than
go
the
off of
people
and get
behind
hyped? Well, yeah. What is there for anyone to go off of and get hyped off for it?
it's an all-women staff, everyone.
So there's a reason that you're not seeing a whole
like
lot of people
numerous-
talking about it.
it's not even an all-women staff, by the way.
Yeah, it isn't.
Most of the grunt work, most of the financing, and a significant amount of the writers apparently are men.
But they
So
serve.
what's special about it?
The
What's special
multicolored
about-
hair
what-
promo cutout.
Oh, okay, guys. What's special
Good
about it
diversity
is
in hair.
what's special about it is that Crunchyroll took a whole bunch of subscription money and wasn't sent over to the anime industry like they claimed to.
And it
they-
wasn't put into making their site any better.
What certainly wasn't put into
No!
making their site any better, but they used it to create their own production. Which and to be very clear, I'm not shitting on them about that because I knew because this is something I understood they were going to do from the very beginning. What I'm saying
Well, yeah, but
is,
you're the marketing guy, so
well, no. What I'm saying is, if your entire thing is going to be, we're the way to support the anime industry and all this stuff, and number one, you're lying by omission, because people are under the impression that the anime industry is something that the anime industry isn't, and
and is in dire need of saving.
Well, not that it's in dire need of saving. It's that nobody's in any hurry to correct anyone about that, because if you corrected people about that and they came to an understanding about how the anime industry works, it's not going to help the likes of Crunchyroll and whatnot. That's number one. Number two is, yes, of course you're using some of the money coming into your organization to do things within your organization. Yes, anyone who understands the first thing about business understands like that. Yeah, every business works like that. But when your thing is, oh, all this money is making it back to the anime industry, and then you come out with, hey, we're doing our own thing with this. You can't. You're not allowed to be surprised when people roll up and be like, well, what happened to supporting the anime industry with our money?
Right. Can I bring up something that's, I don't want to say it's tangibly related. I mean, it's related, but a lot of the things we're seeing over here that people are complaining about, like alterations with dubs and kind of questionable business practices and all that kind of stuff, is really only affecting this side of the branch.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I mean, all that is going to do is encourage piracy. It's not going to of the original products.
The companies that have set up shop and I'm saying the companies, a few of the companies have demonstrated.
Well, some of them are smart enough that they know that this is a bad idea.
Yeah, exactly. So a few of the companies who set up in this market don't have no incentive or don't appear to have any incentive to bring the Western anime fan base closer to the Japanese anime fan base insofar as the media goes. In fact, you might say that they're incentivized to draw the Western anime fan base away from the Japanese fan base.
Exactly.
Especially in the case of Crunchyroll, because as soon as people figure out the breakdown of where money goes when you support anime, quote unquote, you start to find out that there are better ways. You start to find out that there are ways that more directly affect the people that they're trying to help. You don't see Funimation and to a lesser extent Crunchyroll doing a whole hell of a lot of advertising for, hey, buy anime figures.
No,
never. Unless you're buying it off of Crunchyroll's site for a good 10% more.
Bingo.
Yeah, a price gouge or whatever. Yeah, I mean, like I said, a lot of their practices and stuff don't really hold any sway over the other end of the table. It's purely making it bad for Western fans is what it is. It's not really operating on the creative end over there.
Well, so that's for the most part, but here's where it becomes the dangerous paradigm. We know Crunchyroll is sitting on production committees.
Right.
And we know that as part of a production committee, they have some role in determining the direction an anime goes.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, obviously there's at least some level of danger and whatnot, just simply for the fact that we wouldn't be doing the show.
Well, yeah. Well, that's what I'm saying. That's why it's dangerous, and that's so. And I've mentioned this before a long time ago. There's danger in becoming a kind of market where we're trying to desperately cater to what they think the Western fan base wants based on what really loud people within the Western fan base say the Western fan base wants. Mm-hmm. And the end result of that, when all is said and done, is we're gonna end up making a bunch of crap that nobody buys. A lot of people are going to lose jobs. A lot of these studios are going to go out of business, and they're eventually going to turn back around said, hey, maybe we should make stuff for the people who actually buy our shit again. But by that point, a lot of carnage and destruction will happen to that industry, and it's going to take a while to repair that. Which is why it's so dangerous for a lot of the tastemakers and opinion leaders going on in the Western fan base right now to dominate the conversation like they have for the past decade plus. Because it's given the signal that the Western fan base wants a certain kind of thing, when realistically, that's not true, and that's really, it's questionable whether that's ever been true. Versus what they actually buy. And when you look at what people buy, the people buying this stuff aren't as loud and don't have as big platforms as a lot of these tastemakers do. So as a result, you have this disparity that's existed for a long time between the critic and the consumer.
Mm-hmm.
Right, I was actually going to bring that up, that if you've been into it for a long time, you'll see there's an extreme disconnect between the fans and the people that are reporting on this stuff. There just is. I mean, you would look at their reviews and their way they promote stuff, and then you would just look at your friends or people you hang out with and be like, what the fuck? This isn't anything like what people around me are interested in or saying or doing or liking or buying.
Sword Art Online is massively popular over here, despite what you would ever hear on YouTube about it.
Yeah. Oh, no. If you're going by that, you would think it was basically, I don't know, a really bad B movie or something.
Oh, yeah. Go ahead.
Sword. Okay. No point there.
Well, no, because
VZ.
Nah, I'm just listening.
I still can't get over seeing that translation of one of the novels where Rito fills Asuna with 2 years worth
2 years of
semen.
spent up
yeah.
goo. Yeah.
And it makes a glopping noise.
Yeah. Like, can we get a sound effect for that?
please no.
Oh,
That's okay.
so speaking of, so because of that holy conjoined thing, there's a shrine near Akihabara, Kanda Myojin, and you can buy an Asuna Omamori there. And I bought that because my friend, bless his stupid heart, likes Sword Art Online.
Oh, is that are those wooden plaque things?
No, those are ema.
Okay.
Omamori are they're little things. They're usually like sewn bags, and they have like a little charm inside.
Okay.
And you put them on like your backpack or whatever, and they bring you good luck.
Okay. What's the one that's like? You ever hear the one where it's like the your whatever your girlfriend or wife or whatnot, she puts like a single strand of pube in a thing.
Jesus
And
Christ.
that's an actual thing. Gives it to whoever.
I have never heard of this.
And here's the thing: not in the anime, obviously. The Gundam novels, the original one, the ones Tomino did. Well, obviously, the novels. That's in that.
Okay, I'll take your word for it.
I gotta look that up now. What there's a thing.
Another piece of unfortunate sort of pressure, I guess would be the right word, that's happening now is international groups like UNICEF and feminist groups and whatnot are trying to sort of pressure them into stop kind of making some of the stuff they're making too.
So here's the thing behind that. A few years ago, Toranoana had a problem with this, where there was a train molestation themed PC game that you could buy at Toranoana. And some Western feminists went into Toranoana and found this, and they made blog posts about it, screaming about it.
Oh, you're talking about Rape Play, right?
Yes.
Oh
So-
yeah, that one was bad in the sense that it even got on CNN and they had like exposés on it running for like a couple days.
Yeah.
Oh,
So-
I found exactly what I'm talking about. I'm gonna put it in the chat.
Actually, that's a good idea. Can we get like an archived link to that?
Oh no,
So-
no, the other thing.
No, to put it in so people know exactly what we're talking about.
Oh, the other thing, yeah.
Yeah, and again, if you link it to CNN, definitely use archive. Don't give them an extra click for that shit.
Yeah.
All right.
So the thing that Tora no Ana did about this, they didn't pull the game or anything. They just stopped doing international sales.
Yeah, exactly.
Nowadays, you can do international sales through. They do their own proxy thing because they started like warming up to us again. But after that happened, they were just like, "No foreigners, you guys can't be trusted with this."
yeah. I mean, it's
Didn't the game development house Illusion do the same thing after Replay because they made the game?
yes. I'm pretty sure they
Yes.
Yeah.
did. Right, because
Who, funnily enough, partnered with Faku, and that's what got them back into the West, was partnering with Faku to release Honey Select in English.
Yeah.
right. Well, what's funny about that is it's sort of the metaphorical smacking the West with the newspaper, like for misbehaving. You know, like you know when you're the thing about your dog or whatever.
It's
No.
less that. It's less that and more Tokugawa Shogunate, where it's just like
Okay, yeah.
shut it all down.
Or another thing that actually happened relatively recently was Bandai just kind of pulling out,
Mm-hmm.
where they were just like, yeah, you know, it's not. Granted, part of it's their own fault for their business practice.
Yeah,
of selling
yeah,
singles.
that was the reason, was their business practice, not because some shit we did, except not
No.
buy the releases that were poorly released.
Well, right, but the point is though is they somewhat did a similar thing where they just pulled out and said forget about it.
Yeah. Oh, the CNN things. Yeah, it's on the bottom here. You can find
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Again, do not just post it without an archive.
I don't know how to do that. Well,
I'm on
yeah.
it, don't worry.
Archive.is.
You should learn how to do that. Yeah. There you go. Okay. Oh gosh, I just saw the thing about the Lucky Charm pubic hair thing you just posted.
yeah.
When I see that, all I can think of is fucking like the breakfast cereal, Lucky Charms.
Well,
And that disturbs me.
Oh,
Imagine
Jesus.
leprechaun with the fruit colors, and I'm gonna be ill.
So speaking of weird things, that Westers get super creeped out by in Japan. I mentioned this earlier, but it wasn't on air.
Apparently, breasts,
Oh yeah.
mastrophobia or whatever is it called?
I don't get that. Like, I don't get any of this. Anyway,
It's like I've never seen big tits before. It's like, so you've never left your house.
It was funny. Wait, big tits are bad. Flat chests are bad too, because that
Tits
promotes
are just bad because men like them, don't you know?
yeah.
That's what that's about.
So there is a myth going around for a long time that anywhere you go in Japan, you can probably find a vending machine that will give you used panties.
There's even a couple of anime references to this mythological, archaeological finding.
So the myth isn't exactly a myth.
Dun dun dun.
So, okay. There's a store. I'm not going to give the name because I don't know if anybody's going to find out about this and then try to make a big deal about it.
but
there's-
Toranawana, the store.
It is not Tora no Ana. It's more of a generalized sex shop.
But I'm gonna say they're gonna treat it like feminists treated Toranawana.
Oh yes, definitely.
Yeah. So for
this-
the safety of the people involved, we'll not do that.
So the base floor is all BSM stuff. The first floor is like tame stuff. Second floor, the third floor, those are all just like general sex toys for couples and stuff. The fourth floor and the fifth floor, women are banned from.
Oh, wow.
Holy shit!
Yes, women cannot enter. Women who are staff for the store cannot be on those floors during operating hours. It is men
Holy
only,
crap! That's
and it's
interesting.
it is all. It's not just like pocket pussies. It's like really realistic stuff. It's realistic breast toys,
Okay.
all things like that.
Like, I wonder if there's just a bunch of like salarymen up there, just kind of wandering around.
Just like really normal looking guys are there.
Yeah. I'm not. I was just wondering if the average person that was in there is just kind of like your average Japanese working guy, or do they look like fucking?
None of them look like creeps. They're all just like normal looking people.
Okay.
And there's just absolutely tons of porn and hentai and stuff.
But
then-
that's decreasing the birth rates, you know?
Oh, yeah, sure.
White guy. I gotta
That-
think about the birth
Don't
That
tell
person-
Shinzo Abe about this place.
Ha.
rate.
Well, what's funny about that is I hear that a lot, and it's always from people who don't realize the entire first world is having that problem,
Mhm.
and that it's not any worse than say Norway or somewhere like that.
It's like Japan doesn't even rank low birth rate.
No, they don't. That's
They
the
don't-
other thing. It's concerned white people.
Yes. They
That-
also haven't ranked first. They don't even rank first in Asia in terms of suicide rates, and they haven't been that way for almost a decade now.
which is weird because when most people think of places with high suicide rates, they think of Japan and they think of Finland.
And it's
funny,
actually
also- What's also funny, I'm sorry, but it's funny when they bring these like they'll bring up the topic, and then these like shitty solutions, like on the Young Turks when they talked about it, where it's like,
Well, everything they put out is a shitty solution.
it's like just say
just
hello.
ignore the Armenian genocide.
Yeah. Fuck those guys.
Didn't
I'm like-
happen. I don't know what to tell you.
It's like, oh, it's okay, Chank,
It's like,
or how the fuck ever you pronounce his name.
yeah. Oh yeah. So you said Lithuania. So
Lithuania and South Korea are actually the top suicide rate capitals right now. And most of Europe actually has Japan beat as in terms of birth rate. But then all the solutions are like, oh, just have more immigrants and stuff. It's like Japan is already full.
See, here's what I've noticed about the Japan birth rate thing. The narrative, it's basically used to justify whatever narrative they want to push at that particular
Exactly.
time. So several years ago, it was, oh, Japan's birth rate is low, and it's because of all these weird dudes out here dating virtual women, and now we
No,
have
it's
to
because-
investigate that for the next 3 years.
Ignoring
now-
the fact.
Well, now it's, oh, Japan's birth rate is low, so they need immigration now.
So here's why Japan's birth rate is low, and I'm gonna be like super. Ooh, I'm the Japan dude right now, but Japan's birth rate is low because of their workplace.
Sure, it is.
You can't have kids and also do 70-hour work weeks
No.
and also only get paid peanuts until you turn 60.
oh, did you hear about? There was a thing about this. No, it was a producer, or I think it was a producer. Someone had a production thing at Madhouse Studio Madhouse, having to
Mhm.
work. How many hours was it overtime? Anubis? Like I
I-
think it was like
It was some really ridiculous number.
Yeah.
I think it was like 200 hours overtime or something. Yeah, it was
Like I said, it was something really absurd.
Which, by the way, is why I don't respect a lot of the people who talk about the anime industry. Whenever they make like a titty show, they're talking about how it's created cynically. It's just made to make money, and I'm like,
yes.
there's people out here actually dying on the job. So
dropping actually dead.
Yeah,
So,
so-
I mean,
so maybe
come on, man.
maybe knock it off with the, oh, anything I don't like is just created to make money, and anything I do like is
Yeah.
actual art. So maybe knock that shit off.
If they really wanted to make it for money, they would leave a long time ago.
Yeah, they would be in another industry if they were out here
Yeah.
trying to make bank.
I hate to
Mhm.
tell you, but anime is not like a gold mine. I mean, and even if it was, it wouldn't be the animators. It'd be the makers of the figures and shit.
It's a gold mine
Yeah.
for the production committees.
Well, yeah, but how many people are there as opposed to animators and other people?
Yeah, well, that's the whole thing, and that's the whole thing. That's my whole point with the whole support the anime industry meme.
Well, it's
Mhm.
because they don't know. It's either they don't know how it works or they do know, but they're just fucking stupid.
As far as Crunchyroll people goes, they know. They should know because their
Oh,
country
yeah.
is on production committees. What they're not doing is telling people how all this stuff works because that's not. It's
It wouldn't be in
fundamentally
their best interests.
bingo. It's fundamentally against their interest to do that because if they did say, okay, here's how the shit works. A whole bunch of companies, Crunchyroll included, get together, determine everything about the anime industry, about the anime they're making. Then that's farmed out to a studio, and they make the show. And the vast majority of the money coming back to the show comes back to all the companies on this thing, and the studio makes only 1/10 of the money that the production company is going on. Everyone would look at Crunchyroll like they're part of the Legion of Doom.
That's an interesting way to put it.
At Crunchyroll.
Crunchyroll, they'd look at Crunchyroll like they're like the company's Black Manta.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting you say that though. I guess they think it works like some sort of trickle down thing where they get the money and then the rest of the money just kind of goes down. And
On some level it works that way.
Well, it does, but
it works that way on some level because it trickles down for disc releases, sometimes merchandise, but like all the other stuff, that's all created by the committee, funded by the committee, and the money comes back to the committee because remember, anime is a huge thing, and a lot of the time you see a whole lot of products released off of one anime, and the only thing the studio is responsible for is the show itself.
Mm-hmm.
They're not really in the business of the art books or the music or all this other shit. That's
except for Kiowani. They have
Kiowani.
Well, they sit on their own production committee.
They're a different animal. They sit on Sunrise the same way. They're a different animal.
And they're not your JC staff or whatever.
And I mean, part of the reason Sunrise is even in that position is because they have such a close relationship with Bandai and whatnot.
Right. What I was gonna say is when we're talking about the trickle down sort of thing going on here, and that really is aptly named trickling, because the money it operates kind of similar to how probably people that are under Walmart operate. Like Walmart takes almost all of it, no doubt.
Yeah.
And like you get the scraps basically.
Well, I mean, realistically, it's not even like that because we're talking about two almost completely separate entities. The production committee, and then they bring on the studio. They hire the studio to make the show, but the studio's not. They don't get a portion of what the studio is getting is not a portion of what the production committee makes. They're getting their cut, their fair cut, or fair is subjective, but they're getting their cut of the DVD sales. They're getting their cut of the merchandise sales if that's negotiated. They're getting their cut of whatever they're entitled to as the people who were brought on to make the show. So they made the show. They're entitled to a cut of sales of the show. They didn't make the music. They're not entitled to a cut of sales of the music. And what my problem is nobody's telling people this because at first glance it looks like a very bad situation, and you would have to do a lot of explaining to explain to people how this works out and why everything is the way it is. And for a lot of people aren't even going to hear that. They're not going to understand it. They don't want to understand it. And they're still in this paradigm where this is just some we're doing art. We're making art here. We're doing highly artistic stuff, and this is part of the reason why there's such a disdain for stuff like titty anime because they think it's made just to make money.
And even if it was, why is that a bad thing?
Well, it's a bad thing because we're trying to do art.
Except anime was not really founded on. Japan is an ultra fucking capitalistic country.
Well, here's the thing: it's like we can be in this art paradigm.
That thing about the guy who was like, that side by side comparison about
the one fucking dude, one fucking guy.
He's like, we have to do. I really would like to do this, but we have to make this, which is for the otaku market. And
okay, fair enough. Okay, fuck all that.
Well, here's the thing: they read that meme, and to clarify what we're talking about, there is a side by side comparison picture going on, and you have one of the higher ups in the studio, and then one of the rank and file grunt animators. And the higher ups is like, oh, we'd really like to do this, and this, but we have to do what sells. And the rank and file animator is like, I just like boobs. I like drawing boobs. I like animating boobs. I like titties. So here's what's hilarious about that.
Is that the guy on the left is actually the corporate guy out of the two?
Well, not only that, but previously, these people were siding with the guy on the left. Now they're trying to side with the guy on the right.
And they actually don't believe that.
They don't believe either one.
No, they're just going to whatever one makes them more sympathetic.
Whatever makes them look like a hero. So you've got these two paradigms going on, and regardless of what the reality is, they're trying to speak out both sides of their mouth at the same time. To the listener, no time has passed.
Yes.
So yeah, that's what I'm saying is we've got these two paradigms and they're trying to play to both at the same time. You've got anime is art, and we want to make sure that the people can make what they want, and at the same time, it's like we want to help out these low-level animators, and both of them are trying to look like a hero.
And quite frankly, if you read their reviews and even some of their interviews, you can tell they don't believe any of this shit.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Yeah. Well, there was another. I'm trying to say think there was another example that people brought up about. I remember reading someone. There was one about of all the studios to bring up. They were saying Pink Pineapple. Remember this article about that Pink Pineapple saying they were forced to make pornographic anime. I'm like,
they're a pornographic studio.
Exactly. It's like that's what they've always made.
What?
It's like,
who the fuck thought? What?
I remember reading that somewhere many years ago.
That makes no sense. They've never made anything that's not pornographic.
I know.
That's like accusing a rap label of they really wanted to make country music.
Just get a new job.
Holy crap! I mean, that makes no sense. I don't know if you just misread or whoever was doing that was just fucking pants on head tard, but
it's that thing where they think that these people really want to make high art.
They don't. I mean,
that they're forced to make commercial, and it's like,
well, that's just it. There's no, just like in fucking Hollywood and places like that. There's a few people that are really into highbrow shit and whatnot, but the average person is not. The average person makes Fast and the Furious.
Also, whenever the highbrow shit actually comes out, none of these people out here who are sharing that side-by-side comparison and whatnot, none of these people out here are supporting it to the same level, whereas people who are out here supporting the same cute girl anime for years.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
See, you got to be like Yamakan and say otaku aren't allowed to see this.
What you have to do is not be like Yamakan in by any stretch of the imagination in any way.
You can be like Yamakan, poor. I don't actually know if he's poor, but I know he's in bad shape.
Yeah, well, he's declared bankruptcy.
Hey.
And starting a fight with someone, or an argument on someone on a phone.
Oh, that should be good. Dear Donald Trump, if you invest in anime, because I remember all those anime girls going to make real memes or whatever.
Of course.
Don't support.
Know.
Yeah, don't support him of all people.
It was like calling in about like an app or something. That it's like.
I hope that app had nothing to do with making good anime.
Basically his sanity is going. Is like slipping.
Yeah, so that's part of the reason why the whole thing about now we're starting to get Western companies involved in production committees. Part of why it's so dangerous, because there's a lot of the people involved with the infrastructure around anime, not so much the infrastructure, but the information. People who other people follow to get information about anime. A lot of them have no understanding about how the industry works and have no desire to have any understanding about how the industry works. Well, and if they knew how the industry actually worked, would vilify that because of how they understand business works, which is to say not very well.
Yeah, so to kind of go back to some of the other stuff we've been talking about, there is a disconnect here, certainly in terms of business structures and all that. It seems like, from what I can tell, when Japan puts out a product of some kind, especially with anime, their main goal is to recoup that money. It seems to be the main thrust of, okay, we got to at least get our money back.
Yeah, it's like, okay, a whole lot of companies put up a whole lot of money and the only reason they would have put up a whole lot of that money is to make sure that they got a return on their investment.
Right. But it doesn't seem to operate on the same kind of Hollywood thing where, we want everything to be a blockbuster, yada, yada, yada.
I was going to say, they're perfectly fine. No, okay, continue. Sorry.
Realistically, people know that that's not going to be true of everything.
They're perfectly fine selling to a niche if they know that they're going to get their returns.
Yeah, and one thing people don't understand about anime is that it often takes a very long time to get a full return on your investment. But
Right. We're not talking about like, a month or something.
yeah, no, an anime is not going to get a full return, like maybe not even a year after it finishes airing. But a lot of the time, a lot of these animes take quite a while, but do get a return on their investment just through reruns and re-releases and whatnot of
sort of
the media.
Ancillary material.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, that's where the main thrust of the actual money is. I mean, I hate to make this reference because A, people listening might not know the reference, and B, they might think it's kind of odd to use this as a analogy to anime, but Yogurt from Spaceballs was really correct, which was the Yoda parody.
Yes.
Where he said, "What do you do down here?" They ask him, and he says, "Merchandising." Merchandising, where the real money from the movie is made. And he's kind of right.
Yep.
Yeah.
Depending on what you're talking about, some things, I don't know, like the Dark Knight or whatnot, probably just did well enough on its own. But like comic book movies and shit, are you kidding me? I mean, they do well, but most people going to see them or are interested probably at least are marginally fans of comic books, you would think.
Oh yeah, and that's part of where that goes down is, you see, and I don't necessarily like this brand, but I'm bringing it up because it's an example of exactly what you're saying, K-Gods. Funko Pops. How many of those shits do you see? Yeah, how many of those shits do you see everywhere?
What did you say, Shinden?
I went 2 weeks without seeing one, and it was the greatest.
Yeah, it must have been heavenly.
Like, you can't even go to a bookstore without being assaulted by those things.
No, you see the shits everywhere, and that's because, hey, popular thing comes out, and people want merchandise for it, and it's the United States, so they want merchandise for cheap. So Funko comes in, says, hey, we have this
horrible homunculus.
Yes, exactly. We have this terrible cookie cutter design that we put on everything. Here's a bunch of money to license your property. We're gonna make a whole lot of toys that people are gonna buy, and that'll be good for you.
I'm still waiting for that Oni Chi-Chi Funko Pop.
Yeah, it's not gonna happen. So that's you're looking for ROI, and especially for anime, especially for the way anime is made, which is a unique business model, to truth be told.
Well, let's be real here. I used to hear people that sort of understood it, and they called it a suicidal business model. And it's like, no, it's not.
Yeah, how far back was that?
They call it right. Snake biting its tail.
But it's not, because if it's making its return, it's not.
Because they want it to be bigger than, again, they want it to be like the way.
Wait! A bunch of 40-year-olds on a toy form want something to be bigger. I mean, come on.
Well, so here's the thing: they
of a medium they barely even like.
Well, here's the whole thing behind them calling it a suicidal business model is them coming from a very narrow solipsistic view of the subculture. So they're calling it a suicidal business model because they can't conceive of the idea of there being a lot of people out there, both here in America and especially over in Japan, who like a whole lot of the shows they really don't like, and who put up a whole lot of money toward products of those shows. They can't conceive of that because, number one, a lot of them are fundamentally dispassionate people who can't conceive of putting up that level of money on a cartoon product at all. And two, because they purely don't think that there's anything redeeming at all about the stuff they don't like. They can't conceive of the fact that someone might see something in it, regardless of what that something is, that would compel them to go, I really love this show. They don't look at They don't look at something like K-On! Or Lucky Star and see anything redeeming about it. And that's where they fuck up with their solipsistic bullshit, because they look at it and say, "Hey,
They
this
can talk
is
about football.
this is fundamentally bad. There's no way anybody could like this." And the fact that the anime industry keeps putting out this kind of stuff that I don't like is a suicidal business model.
You know, it's
funny. Hey, hang on, guys. Funny. They're gone, and the business is still here.
Hey, imagine that. And realistically, you could stop that thought process much sooner than that, just by looking at it. Okay, well, how long have they been making these kinds of shows for? And they've been fine. They've been fine from then until here. Are they just gonna? Here's what you don't do as a business. Okay, this product has continuously lost me money in a clear trend. If you look at a line graph, it's going down just based off of this product. I keep releasing this product and I keep losing money on it. I'm going to keep making this product. That's a terrible decision. If you know anything about business at all, you're not going to do that. You're going to make a product people like. You're going to make a product that continues to sustain your business because people keep buying it. And what people don't realize, and what the people on this suicidal business model, like bullcrap, don't realize is maybe, just maybe, the stuff you don't like is actually making money for the industry.
Well, that's what I was kind of going to say is it's basically they're operating on kind of the law of diminishing returns, except that's not actually what's happening.
It's the lowest common denominator, guys.
But that has nothing to do with if what sells or not.
That's
purely irrelevant.
Here's the actual thing, VZ. What these people want is for anime to start catering to the lowest common denominator, because this is the same kind of people who talked about. Well,
so you want
anime
to be so bland and boring.
Well, here's the thing. These are the same people who talked about, well, America has more people than Japan. So if Japan started catering to America, they'd make more money. It's a fundamental misunderstanding of the entire concept of a market.
Well, and it's also, I hate to say, if they were going to do that based on demographics, wouldn't they farm out their interest over to China, which is much closer and more culturally close to them?
They'd also farm out to Southeast Asia, where in Southeast Asia, anime is so much bigger than in the United States, and they have the population to be able to do that.
Bingo.
So if you're going for that, then America is completely off the table.
It's dwarfed by like China, India, and again, most of these Southeast Asian places like Thailand, Philippines, and so forth.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so they're fundamentally not catering to the lowest common denominator. In fact, you could make an argument that they're catering to an elite market. Because look at Aniplex of America releases over here, for example. You know, you're spending $100 plus on a set when other companies are releasing their stuff for more like $30 to $80 for a set. $80 at the highest end. And Aniplex knows what they're doing. There were a lot of people bitching when they came out because they took back the FMA license. They took back the Gurren Lagann license.
Which people are still bitching about that, by the way.
People are still bitching about that? I never hear that.
Which is funny because, I mean, I have the Bandai, like, Anime Legends version of it, you know, that put out before they...
I have the subbed, not dubbed version that I've collected over, like, years.
Right.
Oh, that was that 80V one. Oh, no. It was Bandai when they first put it out. That's right.
Yeah.
Like I said, I got the Anime Legends one before or right about as they pulled out. They pulled out of America. Hurt. Can't go balls deep in America.
You know what's funny? I've also read that. probably on ANN, someone said like they just keep remaking Azumanga Daioh over.
Well, considering that was one of the few shows of that nature you actually liked, I don't think that would be
Yeah,
something
exactly.
you'd be complaining about. But when have they ever been consistent about anything other than being bad?
Mm-hmm.
But yeah,
But it's
so
like-
Aniplex of America is catering to certainly not the lowest common denominator. That's closer to what Funimation and
Prices
whatnot
alone
are
mean that
catering
they're
to.
dealing with people that are either A, have money or willing to drop a lot of it.
They're catering to an elite market. They have a lot of money.
By elite, you don't necessarily mean like guys in special uniforms and shit
Yeah,
like that.
they're
You just
not
mean
like
people that are willing to spend that level of money on this
it-
kind of stuff.
elite from a marketing perspective. People who have money are willing to spend it for the right product, and for them, Aniplex of America puts out the right product. Because there was a lot of complaining when they started operating, but I don't hear a whole lot of complaining now.
It's
All
died down.
Yeah, all the people who are bitching about it stopped bitching, and and they swore up and down that business model wasn't going to work for them, and that's because they're coming from a solipsistic point of view where, well, number one, they're coming from.
Why can't it be as expensive as Archer?
Well, here's the thing. Number one, they're coming from an old way of doing business in anime in the West, where streaming didn't exist, and the main.
I think that's actually what I was going to bring up. That streaming is interesting because if you can't afford an Aniplex prices and whatnot, you can still watch it via a stream usually.
And that's
Yeah.
the reason you don't see Aniplex of America doing a whole lot of marketing for their releases, because
They don't need to.
they can guarantee, they know, because streaming is so prolific, number one, and because they're catering to an elite, knowledgeable market, they can guarantee that anyone who's interested in buying one of their releases has probably already seen the anime.
Right. They're kind of doing the thing where they're kind of operating the same way that Adobe does, in a sense, like what the hell, like Illustrator or something like that. They assume people have played around with it before they buy it.
Right.
Yeah.
And so
They've actually said so. A lot of the people that are real pros at it actually pirated it originally to get good at it before they actually bought it.
Yep.
Because that's how they got good at it. And thus, yeah, I can't remember who I read that from. I know I did somewhere that a lot of people who have like Adobe Photoshop or whatever had a pirated copy years before they could afford a real one.
yeah, so it's the same with Aniplex.
Dude.
They know that they know that the people there who are buying their releases already know a thing or two. They don't need their hands held. So they don't need to. They save a whole lot of money on marketing. They save whole lot of money on marketing, and they make a whole lot of money on having expensive releases that people are nonetheless willing to buy because they're collectors, because they want very specifically the release that bad. They're not buying the anime; they're buying the ownership of the physical media. So
Yes.
they're on some level, Aniplex of America is fundamentally in a different market than Funimation, because Funimation's in an old market.
Well,
Funimation's in the anime market. People who buy Funimation releases are still buying anime, when that's less and less becoming, well, realistically, it's been beaten out years ago, but it's not the primary method of consuming anime anymore. When you're buying stuff, you're buying it to own the physical product. That's what you're buying it for.
Right. I was actually going to point out that Aniplex of America is basically, somewhat interestingly enough, basically doing what Japan's been doing for a while, which is just as you say, aiming more at the market of people that are interested in having it specifically,
Yes.
and not just more of a casual thing.
Exactly.
And again, look, it's not casual, and thus it doesn't have casual prices.
Yep.
It's not really hard to figure out, people. The thing is people got used to your ADV and Funimation, and to some extent, I guess, like Pioneer and things like that prices, where you'd go and you'd buy a single, and it'd be really at worst maybe a couple bucks more than an average single or a movie or whatever.
Right.
And not only is that, first off, we don't do singles really anymore, period. Because nobody wants to deal with that shit. And by the way, I'm sorry to go on a tangent, but I have one about that. What ended up the problem with the singles release style is, and I guarantee certainly Anubis and VZ, I don't know about Shinden, but those two definitely will know what I'm talking about. What would ended up happening is there'd be a thing that's like, I don't know, 50 episodes or something, right? And they'd put like, I don't know, about 5 on a disc. And thus there'd be like 10 overall, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Yeah.
So what would end up happening is you'd be buying them, and then like volume 4 or some shit would never be in anywhere. And you would either have to just move on and get 5, 6 and then come back to it, or you would just have to be stuck there waiting for somebody to get it, which sometimes never fucking happened.
That was like me and just giving up with Dunbine. Like,
well, yeah, but that's different because that was they were having a problem putting that out, period, though. It seems like. But I mean just like a regular show that it all came out.
It's
It's like-
especially fun when you have, like, the first volume comes with a box so you can put the rest of the volumes
Yes.
in.
Oh wow.
Yes. Fuck, I hated that. Because not because I hated the boxes, but because that's what happened. You'd get like, in my example, volume 4 would just be elusive. It would never be there. It would never be in stores. Online it'd be on back order. And it would just never be there. And having that box just made it worse. Because you'd be sitting there like, motherfucker.
what I also ended up happening is, again, as soon as that whole individual release came about, you would get, here's the completed edition and cheaper too. It's like, damn it.
Yeah,
So-
that reminds me so much of like special edition CDs that would come out a month later that would have like bonus tracks or something like that.
That's exactly what sort of.
And you'd be like,
So now here's the thing. You can't do that in a niche market. And the anime industry realized this a little too late for a couple companies, but
that's aka ADV.
ADV, Central Park Media, a little too late, but they understood that, okay, you can't do this in a niche market anymore. You have to. And what I think the next step of this is, okay, you can't do this in a niche market anymore. Cheap disc releases, like cheap, meant for a mass market disc releases, because it's more and more becoming that, okay, streaming is now the primary way of watching anime, and if you want the disc release, the reason you want the disc release is not because you're gonna watch the anime that way, but because you specifically want to own the disc. You have a mentality that says, okay, I want to own this on physical media. And what it comes down to is we're not deliberately, but just as a force of the market, as a force of how people consume media, especially anime fans, we're moving closer to the Japanese method of consumption of anime,
Right.
specifically,
Because even
not by the same market forces, but market forces in general are pushing us that way.
right, like for example, even back in the day, Japan, basically you watch stuff on, broadcast, whether that be just regular TV or satellite or whatever, you would only buy the VHS again if you really, really wanted it because it was expensive as shit.
Yep.
And it's funny how while so many things have changed, that idea it's almost come full circle in a way. Because I mean, it's a new kind of idea over here, but not over there. But a really interesting parallel we have with our own media though is like old sitcoms that they were never going to be released on home video. Like, I don't know, like Married with Children or something like that. It was just something you
Bill
watched.
Cosby.
Yeah. But that's for a different reason these days.
Mhm.
Yeah. Uh-huh. But you know what I mean? Those, when they showed, they weren't showing you those with the intent of you're going to own these someday. They were just something you watched, and then eventually they did come out. But the quality level is still not all that hot. It still looks, quite frankly, actually worse. Because it was never really meant to be put out that way. If you watch, I don't know, maybe it's just my collection or whatnot, but you would see things and it'd be like, wow, this looks kind of bad. I don't know if it's just because of modern TVs or because they didn't go bother to clean any of it up or whatnot. But it reminds me of that.
So what I find interesting, and what I think is going to be interesting to observe over the next few years, is we've got pure market forces forcing our consumption of anime into more of a Japanese style. Meanwhile, we have the companies responsible for bringing anime over here trying to bring us away from the way the Japanese fandom does things. And I think it's going to be interesting seeing that sort of interplay play out.
Well,
Because
sure.
The Japanese way will win out, definitely, because that's what people want. Is they want to have as close to a 1-to-1 experience to the Japanese market as they can.
Exactly.
Well,
So
And the
The
people out
demand-
here making a real big deal they're not the people out here buying the stuff. They're not the people out here
So
consuming.
they're barking in the wind.
These people, guarantee you, not a whole lot of these people have own Aniplex of America releases.
Well, if they do, it's because they're getting what the hell you call that? They're getting serviced.
Well, here's the thing. By who?
Well, by these companies, like, review this.
Well, okay, reviewing's one thing.
Yeah, that's how ANN gets.
Oh, I guarantee they don't buy that shit.
Oh, of course they can't buy it. They don't have any money to buy it. They have
Well,
to.
no, they're
ANN
hemorrhaging
especially
money.
not.
Cults.
No, they're hemorrhaging money like a fucking dude at a strip club.
Which is interesting. I noticed. I don't know if I'm the only one that noticed this because they've been posting less articles.
Oh,
Yeah,
so-
because
so
they're having problems paying their freelancers.
Well, that and I guess they can't find enough people to basically rip off 2chan things.
Mm-hmm. And they can't find more cults.
Yeah,
The cults won't approach them because they got chewed out that one time.
yeah. Happy Science is like, guys.
Come on, Shinrikyo might have a say, you know?
Wait, didn't they execute that dude?
Yeah, not
Yes,
too
they
long
did.
ago either.
I was gonna say, dude, he's been in jail forever, and he was up for execution. I know, but
Well, his cult is still around.
yeah. And the weirdest thing about that, I've done a fair amount of looking into that because I just find cults interesting.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is most of the people that were in that cult weren't dumb people.
Yeah, these were people who were like pretty high up in the echelons too.
I mean, a lot of them had PhDs and all kinds of like credentials and shit. So they weren't like just random people they grabbed off the street. I mean, that's easier to tell people that sort of story because that's what the mind believes that, a bunch of stupid people fall for cults. But that's not really true in most cases.
A woman tried to convert me to Buddhism, like Nichiren Shoshu Buddhism.
What, while you were there?
Yes, it was me.
That is an interesting anecdote.
Yeah, it was me and my friend, and we were walking from Asakusa. We were at near Kaminarimon, and we were walking towards Skytree, and we had crossed a bridge, and then we were passing by this Buddhist center, and this old lady brought us in, and she was like, "This is the only time when I was in Japan that I saw tatami mats, by the way." And she brings us in, and she has us do the Nam-myoho Renge Kyo thing.
Right.
And then she's like teaching us all this stuff, and then she's like, Islam and Catholicism want everybody, and she was speaking this like pidgin Japanese and English, like Islam and Catholicism want to have war, but Buddhists only want peace. And then the awkward situation happened when my friend was like, actually, my family is Muslim, and I was like, yeah, and I was baptized a Catholic.
Interesting.
She's still trying to get us to convert, and we're like,
Obviously, yeah.
not today.
That's interesting.
And on our way. And then immediately my Muslim friend was like, I want to have pork.
That's great.
Because he's not actually, but yeah.
Right, I get it. You say that kind of stuff to get out of situations you don't want to be in. Yeah,
but, like,
been there, done that.
His family is very Muslim, but he is not.
Right. Understood. So how was the Sky Tree? I've always wanted to see that.
The line is long, but the building, like being at the foot of the building, it was just like insane. It was like the biggest human-made thing I have ever seen in my life.
Right. It's just one of those things when they said, even when they announced they were building it, it was going to be like the biggest, I think, skyscraper, or one of them for sure.
Yeah, it still is the largest skyscraper, or the largest tower in the world until like the UAE or somewhere else in the Middle East is going to make it 2 times the size.
Yes, that big ass building in Dubai.
Yeah, the Burj Khalifa is
Yep.
smaller than Tokyo Skytree.
Wow.
Yeah.
That is a big fucking tower.
It is.
See that tower is what they're beaming out fucking episodes of Gundam on. They're shooting it outside of the solar system, trying to attract any kind of anybody who wants to listen, and then they, I don't know, put Bible Black on for laughs.
Oh,
actually,
God.
if I'm not mistaken, it is actually a broadcast tower too. So
yes, it is.
okay, guys, you're not wrong.
That. I actually did figure that. I wasn't joking about that part.
They replaced Tokyo Tower, and they started doing digital broadcasts from it before it was actually completed.
Right. I mean, I've seen pictures of it, but I guarantee that it's not the same.
Oh God, the pictures don't do it justice. Once you're like, there's an entire like mall at the bottom of it, and my friend and I just walked out of the mall, and then we just turned around, and this massive structure is right behind us. It was absolutely humbling. And then a guy did a street performance where he was doing like a one-man rendition of Lupin the Third, which was interesting.
That everything about that is cool.
Everything about it was cool. But anyway, so I just wanted to bring it back to the physical releases.
Sure.
One of the physical releases is that once you get that physical release, it's not going to be altered or disappear or anything like that. So there's a lot of like trust you can put into it.
Right.
But the second thing is, Aniplex of America is still doing their thing where they're going to have like scarcity on like the middle volumes, because I have Kill la Kill 1 and Kill la Kill 5.
Ooh.
And you can still find Kill la Kill 1 and Kill la Kill 5 like everywhere. None of the middle ones I can find anywhere.
Ouch.
Like 2, 3, and 4, I can't find the special edition Blu-rays of them. Even if I had to pay for them, pay out the ass for them, I'd still pay out the ass for them, but I just can't even find them.
Right. Interesting. It's interesting you bring that up though, because that's another thing, and it's not even just an anime thing. There's a lot of worry about people going back and fucking with regular movies and stuff because of all these new idiotic rules they keep trying to put into place. Like oh, let's judge a movie made, I don't know, in the 70s by today's college kids standards.
Song of the South.
Exactly. And it's just like, this is fucking stupid.
Well, it's part of the reason that collectors, the people who really care about their media, like having the physical release. Okay, well, I know that like 5 years later, like Funimation is not going to break in my house and redo the script.
Better not. They'll be in serious trouble if they do.
Yeah, exactly. They're not going to swing through my window and redo the script on Code Geass or something like that.
They
Mhm.
can try. They'll get shot. I mean,
Wait, so the demographic whose primary way of watching anime is streaming, and they don't have the sort of mentality where it's like, okay, I want to own this thing, I want to collect this thing, I want to have a huge shelf full of anime. Those people are going to be fine.
Mhm.
And what's going to really drive the market, what's going to really bring in the physical release money and the merchandise money and all that on the Western side are going to be people who want to be closer to the Japanese way of doing things.
Yes.
So what it really comes down to is market forces versus people on websites and YouTube and Twitter talking.
which they can talk all they want, but at the end, but bottom line, they're not doing anything. They're not putting their money where their mouth is.
Well, worst case scenario is they try it over in Japan and a lot of people lose their jobs and a bunch of studios go under and they go back to catering to people who actually buy shit. And the reason I make such a point of that, despite knowing that market forces are going to bring us closer to the Japanese paradigm, is I'd like to avoid that carnage. So what I'm saying is that
nobody wants to see, except for maybe Yamakan, people get booted out of the anime industry.
Yeah, exactly. So
whether because they got yelled at by their higher ups or because like they ended up basically foreclosing or something.
Yeah, and that's why it's such a problem for me when thought leaders, opinion leaders, tastemakers, whatever word you want to use in anime spaces, influencers exactly, in anime spaces want to say a whole bunch of probably fundamentally wrong things about anime, especially with regards to how the industry works, and want to dictate what anime does based on their own personal sensibilities.
That's just not how markets actually work.
No, it fundamentally goes against market forces, but these are people who don't really care a whole lot about the market, not over here, not in Japan, and they're gonna demand what they want out of anime. And the problem is that a lot of these people get really close to people who are in the industry on this side. And when you get close to people who are in the industry on this side, you're also getting close to you're getting closer to the Japanese production infrastructure than your rank and file consumer out here buying anime figures. And that's a problem because there's no representation for the kinds of people who spend hundreds of dollars on cute anime or girl shit in these levels of the Western anime market. Again, and I've asked this question before, and nobody can give me a real answer. Name me one big name anime reviewer who loves titty anime.
Should we play the Jeopardy music here?
I don't have that drop in, but
no, I'm not saying you do. I'm just saying it would be perfect as an insertion.
But exactly, silence speaks volumes. Nobody can think of a single big name anime reviewer who loves titty anime. So what really happens is
they're worried about their professional image.
No. What really happens is you don't get, number one, you're not going to get any discussion of titty anime that doesn't come from at
best a highbrow blog.
Well, you're not going to get any discussion of that doesn't come from a okay, I guess sort of place. Where okay,
right,
I guess I'm obligated to review this because I'm an anime reviewer.
Right, it's sort of like tokenism in a way. It's like, okay, this thing, it exists, and I have to.
Peter Payne. That's the closest I could think of.
Yeah,
but he's
yeah,
not a reviewer. He
he's
makes
not a
money off
reviewer.
sells shit,
Yeah,
though.
he's part of the market. He's selling. He's selling owner holes. He's selling whatever
he
out of his
understands.
store is gonna sell stuff.
Which, by the way, I know this might twist some knickers, but I have to point it out. I actually saw him at AX one year, and he was selling those, and a guy bought them. I'm not gonna say who, it's nobody I know real well. Like, it's not like one of my gang or whatever.
Mhm.
But I just saw it, and when he gave him it, he says, "This brings you." He said something really funny, like, "I hope this brings you to a higher relationship with Vocaloids," or whatever, and also gave him tissue paper.
Gray Forrester in the chat says, define big. Does Lost Pause count? Gigu
Giguk.
themes
Giga
to be
just
more
likes-
positive to fan service stuff nowadays.
I could actually go on a tangent about Giguk.
But that's probably another show.
That's probably another show. Long story short, Giguk to me seems to how to put this without being a complete asshole.
I like how you phrased that.
Well, it's like Giguk is like he's like the most mid-level. He seems to really go with the flow and doesn't really say anything particularly interesting or anything I haven't heard before from any other anime YouTuber.
Yeah, his trick is doing really nice editing, and that's where.
His content is safe as far as
Yeah.
anime YouTubers go.
Except for when he goes on entire things about incest stuff. So
Well, to be unless he's
Was he born from cousins fucking or
Well,
something?
here's
What's
the
the
thing.
problem?
Unless he's really, really big on incest stuff, unless that's his jam and he's going on about that's his jam, then no, he's being safe.
yeah,
Show me the anime YouTuber who's big up in Ori-emo, big up in Eromanga
Collects
Sensei.
Yasuga Sora merch.
Yeah, exactly. And
I
that's the
know-
person who's gonna be against the grain.
Which, by the way, I had to not he's not a reviewer, but I had to finally block Melon Pan on Twitter.
Yeah,
I cannot-
I never even followed him.
No, me either.
No, I never followed him. I just see him in my timeline.
I don't even
I don't-
see him
I
on
don't
my
even see
timeline.
that.
all of his content is the same,
I cannot stand his stuff.
and he also screws with Nendroids, like putting them in like pasta sauce and putting them on the stove and shit. And I'm like, I can't.
He's just
Well,
like,
he's like as far as I know, he's rich, right?
yeah,
Oh,
he's
definitely.
a bank.
Right, right. That's why
Independently
he
wealthy.
does that kind of shit.
Well,
The-
he is also
Place bank.
like he's also like, okay, I've got a lot of money and I'm into anime and this is gonna be my social media
brand,
persona.
sort of?
Yeah, it's gonna be his brand. He's the guy who's really extra about crazy otaku bullshit, but it's extra. That's
Mhm.
my thing. Is okay. It doesn't need to be this. Like being into crazy otaku bullshit at all is already wild to some people. Now he's wild to people who are into crazy otaku bullshit, so it's extra. That's why I'm not a fan of it. But here's the thing, and to answer Gray Forrester's question, across the three, at least the three of us, myself, K Gods, and VZ, have been following. We've been paying attention to anime reviewers for a while, and I can't think of anyone off the top of my head who loves titty anime and is willing to big up titty anime and is willing to try and sell titty anime to other people for
Yeah,
Without doing a butt.
without irony about it.
And also
I
not the...
unironically love Keijo. This has been brought to you by Dollar Shave Club.
Hey,
Also
hey,
not
I
the,
love Keijo. The only reason I don't own it is because who has it?
Also not it was good despite the fan service.
Yeah.
Well,
exactly.
it's basically a more sophisticated way of doing that. It's that's exactly a good point. When like you said, nobody of these people will try to sell a titty anime. One of two things happens when they're not just outright hating it. They'll either say there's always the butt somewhere, which is usually good in the context of anime, but that's not what we're talking about.
Keijo, it's all about the butt.
That's exactly right. That's what I was referring to. Or C2 or any number of good booty. But anyway, there's the butt factor. B-U-T, not T-T. Or the other one you get is like they try to sell it in a really silly sort of like, I don't actually like this. I'm just trying to be funny sort of way. Like, I'm having a hard time kind of articulating what I mean by that.
Well, they try and code it in irony so they don't get made fun of for liking, something that people deem it's okay to make fun of you for liking.
I know exactly how to say what I want to say now. It's you can't feel the enthusiasm for it. It's not there. It's completely phony. If it attempts to be there, they don't sound like they actually want to buy this thing.
Mm-hmm.
Or whatever. It just sounds like, oh, this is something me and my friends watch when we're hammered.
Yeah, well, we got a big problem in the Western anime community right now with people not wanting to be genuine about their enthusiasm for a show because
and that's not an anime thing. That's just a fucking civilization thing.
Well, it's a
liking things is gay.
Oh yeah, it's a
yeah. I mean,
okay. In large part, it's a generalized modern Western thing.
Right. It plays into that whole "who cares wins" thing.
Yeah,
or loses rather.
Yeah, he who cares first loses. So
loses. It plays right into that.
I fucked that up. My bad. Yeah, if you can look like you're above it all, and you can look like you don't actually you're not actually into what you say you're into all that much, you can look at.
But that's not the way they frame it.
Well, no, you can.
They frame it as you care about this thing too much.
Well, that's the thing, is that people approach everything with a level of irony because they know that if they show enthusiasm, they open themselves up to ridicule, and even not even so much ridicule. They open themselves up to having to feel a negative emotion as a result of someone else's opinion or perspective on what they like. And the whole thing is they don't realize that about that. And so they go on to do it to other people.
Right. It sort of is an extension of the whole coddling thing that's going on.
Well, it's a defense mechanism.
Sure, it is.
Okay, if I don't really believe in anything, then nobody can attack me for that. And
in many ways, it's troll shielding.
No, they don't realize that they're playing in directly into that paradigm by making fun of other people for what they like.
The thing is you can always tell when somebody actually cares, or if they don't, simply by the fact that gives no fuck kind of mentality. I mean, again, one of my friends, Sneaky, who will actually be with us at A-Kon later in the year. You can tell he's one of those gives no fuck guys, because look at his Twitter posts. He posts stuff about smelly fucking armpits and fucking him posting like fucking old Luger pistols and shit.
Yeah, exactly.
You can tell he does not give a flying fuck.
Yeah, exactly. So he's unapologetically himself. He unapologetically likes what he likes, and his Twitter posts are for people who follow him on Twitter. And if you're following him on Twitter, you know what he's all about. And
which I'm going to go ahead and
surprise anyone.
I'm going to go ahead and throw out his @ since we're talking about him. It's Sneaky1 as in ONE. I believe that's it, isn't it?
I believe
Sneaky1.
So.
Yeah, I believe so. You'll know. Just look for stinky feet pics or some shit like that. You'll find him.
Yeah, the guy's a champion because it's Sneaky 175, SNEAKYONE 75. So
Okay, yeah. For some reason, I didn't remember the number.
So, but,
Yeah, you're right.
No, the guy's a and here's the thing: are any of the people who are real big up on the real big up on the Lycans shit ironically thing, real big up on the making fun of people for being enthusiastic about what they're enthusiastic about?
You can tell they're not happy people.
Yeah, and I never find that they're particularly a real blast to hang out with. I don't hang out with those people.
I mean, between them and a Naruto, I'd hang out with a.
Yeah, because you
Easy,
know
like that's not even a joke. I mean,
no, real talk, because you know where they stand.
And quite frankly, them trying to karate kick a tree is still more entertaining than somebody sitting around with their thumb up their ass, screeching about everything being bad.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, what do we got? Gray Forrester in the thing says, I wonder how one could sell fan service anime outside of the choir. That's called skilled writing.
Well, one thing is, why are you trying to sell fan service anime out of the choir?
Well, not only that, but why would you need to? I mean, it's got more than enough, like acolytes to get itself by.
It's like, listen, you know if you like fan service anime or not. You know. It's like
put it this way: if your first reaction to Strike Witches is where are their pants, it's not for you probably.
Yeah.
If your first reaction is holy fuck, you can really see right up there. Here's your figure.
Yeah. Enjoy the show.
The only reason I watched that as far as I did was because I really wanted to see more Erica.
Well, episode 7 was really good for that.
Yes, definitely.
Because she is. I love the fact that she stole
a lot of
underwear.
Erica.
She stole their underwear because she was out of her own. It's just like, and
Which
then
I love the A&N review complained about that.
why do you gotta bring it down, Feezy?
Who cares what A&N thinks about
Because
anything?
they said women don't go around. Women don't go groping each other's chat, and also women shouldn't be wearing other women's underwear.
Well, if they had some women on their staff, I might care.
Oh,
Oh.
There's A&N still misgenders Jake Chapman.
yeah, they do. They actually do. If you
Yeah.
look at their staff page, they do.
Staff page and to this day, and I brought it up with them like 5 times in the past year, and they haven't done anything about it.
Well, what's funny about
Maybe
that?
they don't have the money to update the site.
Yeah. Well, it still looks like an old Angel Fire thing anyway. So.
Oh,
Well, let's just say there's been some recent developments between.
Well,
and
I wasn't even going to say that. I was going to say what's really comical about that is, are they even going to still be working there?
probably not.
Because can they even be fired? Think about that for a minute without stuff going down.
That's the
Probably
thing
not.
is, Jake Chapman was hired on by Zach Bertsky.
Birchie is what.
Bertsky. Okay. Yeah.
They
fine.
were married for 1 year.
Bertsky.
For 1 year.
Yeah, and then she was like, you know what? I can probably be a better man than Zach Bertsky, so. Sorry.
Well, that's
was-
not hard, to be fair.
Oh, that was. I am tired, and I just said something really bad.
No,
See, I was
no,
going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I was going to be like, okay, maybe 5 years. I was going to be like,
Ugh.
okay, this could last for at least 5 years. No more than that. No, 1 year.
yeah, I saw that coming a mile away.
A Gray Forester
Like,
in the IRC. I guess no one high profile gushes over fan service stuff on YouTube because there's no market. Which is going against literally everything we've just said on this podcast because
That is bullshit.
Well,
we know the market for fan service stuff is
Well,
massive.
let's be real.
The problem is that there's no one talking about it, and the problem is that there's no one out here who's on the same level as the the tastemakers, thought leaders, whatever you want to call them, who actually likes this stuff.
Well,
I mean,
again,
And you might say
whole...
you might say that's by design. You might say that if someone did roll up in YouTube or whatever and started talking about, hey, fan service anime is great. Here's all the fan service anime I like. Here's why I like it. Blah blah blah, and gained a big following for that. There are and
they're gonna get me too'd.
it's not even they're gonna get me too'd. There's gatekeepers, okay, gods, because you still need to have a relationship with Crunchyroll or whatnot to start getting close to the industry in that.
There's another thing that's not really being addressed here with fan service regarding like YouTubers and whatnot is there's a certain level of it where they actually don't allow it.
Yeah, on some of them, but
there's that barrier too. I mean, granted, that's probably on the more extreme side of it. I mean, I don't think that, like Strike Witch's videos or whatever are being taken down in mass.
Well, there's none of it. Even the stuff that would be acceptable on YouTube, there's zero of it. So
Gray Forrester says,
go ahead.
I meant that there's no market for reviews of fans. Okay. There's not really much in the way of market for reviews, period.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. Guys, here's the thing. I've talked about this guy, Bennett the Sage, right?
Can we not?
Well, hold on. There's a point to this. Some of the stuff he reviews, some fan service stuff. But again, he does it he dresses like a character.
Which alone makes me not take him seriously.
That's my fucking problem.
Suave. Which kind of
bullshit. Fuck off.
Yeah, that's my fucking problem. Nobody wants to do this unironically. Nobody wants to come out here and say, okay, I'm gonna
Nobody's
take myself
dressed like a dude in a ball cap with his fucking like beer or whatever.
No, I'm gonna take myself just as seriously as all these other people out here doing their reviews take themselves, and I'm gonna talk about this fan service anime, and I'm gonna explain why I like it, and explain its good parts, explain why I like the genre, explain all this stuff that's not getting any air at all.
Mm.
And
I like Furokano legitimately.
And what I was going.
You shouldn't have to say legitimately, dude.
Yeah, exactly.
That's the point.
Where I was going was, if you're gonna get to a level where you're getting as close to the Japanese side as a lot of these reviewers do, and what I mean by that is they're getting close to the American side. So they're closer to the Japanese side than we are. Mm-hmm. If you're going to get to that level, then you have to have a relationship with the companies who are in charge of this stuff, and that's a gatekeep there. You have to first be able to have that kind of relationship. And I'm not saying this is what they're doing, because there's no way to prove this, because none of this fan service stuff is getting any air within people discussing anime and reviewing anime and whatnot.
Well,
but
it reminds me of.
But who's to say that the dominance of, well, not so much the dominance of non-fan service stuff, but the utter lack of any representation for fans of moe, fans of ecchi, fans of fan service within circles that are close to the U.S. infrastructure behind anime. Who's to say that's not by design?
Mm-hmm.
Right. Well, here's another thing.
And people had a lot of theories regarding this kind of paradigm with Anime News Network, because they really have a dearth of people on their staff who like the kind of stuff that other people on their staff shit on constantly.
But you know what their interesting excuse for that was? Was that the people who did like stuff like that were bad writers.
I've heard that.
Well, here's the thing.
Which is like, well, I've read you people. You don't particularly strike me as fucking Hemingway.
Yeah, that's number one. Number two is, what do you think do you think the ballers out of the moe fan
The ball.
anime blogging subgroup of
They probably
anime
don't want to be
bloggers.
connected to a group
Yeah.
like that.
Do
They probably
you
think they're
think
douchebags.
that when the highest editorial person on your staff is consistently shitting on moe and consistently shitting on moe fans, and doubles down when called out on that, do you think that the ballers out of that community are going to want to write for your publication?
Fuck no.
So again, maybe that's by design,
Could be.
and
So,
there's no
let's-
way to prove that, but there's
Do we got any mail?
there certainly is a way to see that, hey, there are ways that we could look at this where, okay, yeah, this might very well be by design.
Okay, very possible. I think let's sort of kind of wrap this up, if possible here.
Yeah.
So let's try to make it into a nice little bite-sized kind of talking point here. Mine will be this. It looks like in the short term they can screw up some stuff, but protracted over the long haul, I think we're going to be fine. I think eventually all the people babbling and barking in the wind are just going to fade out because they don't really help the industry financially at all. They just complain. And eventually, at very least, people will just ignore them because at the end of the day, they're just, at very least, they're probably making them lose money by listening to them.
Yeah. And there's absolutely no chance that they're actually going to be listened to by the people who are actually making the cost of all. They're doing all this as like passion project because you're not pulling 80, 90 triple digit work hours just to make money, because there are so many other ways to make money.
Nor for some middle-aged housewife psychotic feminist to tell you you're a shithead for doing it.
Exactly, and the thing is, they're on the other side of the planet for most of these people, and it just doesn't matter. And the advice that I'd like to give everybody, and this is like a really big thing that it's a hurdle that even I'm going to have to overcome, but like, just stop caring about what anybody in the West thinks about any of this content, and you will just enjoy things a lot more. You will just like be able to just like relax and enjoy these things because they're not going to be going anywhere. You might be getting shitty releases and stuff, then just pirate.
Right. At the end of the day, at the end of the day, the people who want this stuff will circumvent any company screwing with their stuff.
Exactly.
That's what will happen. They're not just going to take it and like it. Trust me. That's not how people like that think.
And if you think that these people, that ANN matters in any way, that they're going to actually start changing anything or like have any sort of impact, just go to Akihabara.
I mean,
and
like, let's be real here. People that are members of AniFem or whatnot are not going to break into your house.
Oh God, definitely not.
I mean, nor they might whine on their blogs and things about this, about titties, but they're not gonna pop up on your fucking FaceTime or whatever when you're talking to your friends about titty anime and try to interrupt you.
They are powerless.
Yes.
They are absolutely powerless, and we should just be treating them as such.
You know, sort of like, oh, I stepped in dog shit. And, well, got to clean off my shoe.
Shikataganai.
Yep.
Yeah. There you go. That's it. I mean, we try to be more positive on this podcast. I don't know how often that works. I mean, we do.
Yeah.
I mean, we try, and compared to other ones, we
Positivity in the face of absurdity here.
Yeah. I mean, we're kind of like the donkey punch of anime podcasts. I'm pretty sure we shouldn't put that on a t-shirt.
Yeah. No.
Well, dude, we're named after a particular fetish, and one that's like a very controversial.
It's I don't think it's controversial. I think it just bums people out.
NTR,
Well, it makes
NTR
people
Radio
really
is brought to you by cucks like you. Thank you.
Oh, jeez. That's a good one. Can we put that one on a t-shirt? And then like, I don't know, some hey gal face or something. And here I thought my donkey punch joke was going to be the one that which, by the way, you'd think there would be a Dojin circle or artist called that, named sort of as a nod to Monkey Punch. Donkey Punch. They just do Lupin the Third porn.
Rest in peace.
Rest in peace, Monkey Punch.
Yeah, you were awesome. I mean, I like Lupin the Third. I'm not talking shit about him.
I know, but rest in peace.
R.I.P.
And now we're going to make a porn parody.
This untapped potential.
But the funny thing about that is a lot of Japanese artists and stuff seem like the personality types that would be amused by that. I mean, you ever notice that? Because a lot of them actually do like porn side projects and things like that.
Oh, yeah.
They're contracted out to do stuff or whatever. They're just like, okay, whatever.
That's because despite what the people make you think in the media, the Japanese actually do have a sense of humor.
Yeah. Oh, they do have, definitely.
Oh, absolutely. I met Toshio Maeda, the creator of Urotsuki Doji and La Blue Girl. And he's incredibly funny, by the way. Like, and he spoke pretty good English, too. I actually told the other guys this when I did meet him. And something really funny was him talking about he was talking about this one guy that ripped off Leiji Matsumoto, like on the production staff or some bullshit like that. And he's like, he was how you Americans would say, an asshole. I was like, that's funny. And he talked about how he wrote children's books or was involved with that or something. And I was just like, that's interesting.
Only in Japan can you have, I do children's books. And
I also do tentacle rape porn.
Yeah, Kiyohiko Azuma got his start doing like pretty hardcore hentai stuff at Copycat. But I just had one more thing that I wanted to add.
Sure.
About Japan, sorry. And this has to do
cool.
with Lupin the Third. You know how we get like Jump Boy, all these different Halloween costumes that are like they're definitely supposed to be modeled after this character, but they don't have the rights to the character.
Yeah.
So they change the name and kind of make it off color in one way or another.
Yes. They have a line in Don Quixote. They had a line of Lupin the Third costumes, like cheap Halloween style costumes, and they were all great thief, cool gunman, samurai guy, and rival cop.
Oh, fucking yeah. Oh, jeez, that's funny. Did they have the different jacket colors, like like red jacket, blue jacket?
It was only red jacket Lupin.
Okay. I just had to ask. Again, I actually am a fan. Believe it or not.
Yeah, same.
I've always liked it. Even you knew it was gonna be fun even from the first episode where they grab Fujiko Mine and he has to go get her and all this other stuff, and she constantly titillates him and won't let him have any. That's always funny.
That's the thing is that's the go-to anime when I'm trying to somebody says what's the first anime I should watch. I'm always like Lupin the Third, but I need to figure out which part you have to start because I need to get a feel for who you are, and then I have to be like, okay, you would want part 2, you would want part 5 kind of deal.
Yeah, because I mean all of it's pretty good from what I remember.
Yes, it's very good.
And I also like to joke that it's where Cowboy Bebop ganked a lot of its style from.
Yep.
Yeah,
it's very obvious if you've seen both of them. I mean, I like jokingly saying it's an XP. It's not, but but it always pisses Bebop fans off if you point that out. It's like, ooh, this thing is the most original thing ever. It couldn't have been, copied something else.
Yeah.
It's like it did, even down to the intro where it's got the multiple like Charlie's Angel color schemes and shit.
That was one magical moment I had. A little yellow Fiat was driving past me in Ochanomizu, and I started singing the Lupin theme song, and somebody started
like joining in.
joining in.
That's
Just
great.
like a random Japanese passerby was.
That's
Toko ni wa,
that's great. Like I don't have anything quite that cool. I mean, I've been at cons where people break into Bohemian Rhapsody. That's about as good as it got.
That happens at every con.
Oh yeah,
which is great because everybody knows the fucking words to it. So.
Yeah, my Swedish friends started singing Bohemian Rhapsody, and I had to go back into the hotel to grab something, and I come out like 3 minutes later, and they're continuing.
What is there like a conga line or something going on?
Oh no, but
I've always wanted to get like a Toei Gundam one like that because it's not particularly hard to do, and a lot of people know the words to it, which has always struck me as. For a show that has a lot of serious elements, it always struck me as kind of comical of an opening song. It almost sounds like something you could see like an old Japanese game show host or something singing it.
Yeah, I feel like that's just an artifact of the fact that it started in the 70s.
Yeah,
so it still kind of got that 70s aesthetic to
like,
everything.
Like, I half expect to see like some kind of Asian Wayne Newton on mic or something. Good stuff.
Yeah,
that is a magical moment. It sounds like.
So going off of what Shinden said, and this is my thing.
And you could argue this is straight from the source. This is somebody who's just there, literally just there.
Yeah, exactly. Ignore the people out here complaining about it because they don't matter and they're not gonna matter.
Yes.
And also,
and half of them aren't even gonna be watching this stuff in 10 years.
Seriously.
Yeah.
Be unapologetically enthusiastic about what you like, because the only people who are gonna care are other people who are pumped about what you like.
Yes.
Right. It has sort of that it's magnetism. Like,
exactly.
Hey, this person really likes this thing. I like this thing.
Bingo.
Whereas this like I can't even figure out a way to say it. Like it's like when people back in the day used to buy porn in little brown baggies and shit, or like with big trench coats, and it's like that's kind of what it reminds me of. Like, oh, I'm ashamed that I like this.
Yeah,
thing.
Yeah. And when nowadays you're up at the convention, you roll up to the Hendane booth and you just you just become friends with the dude to your left and to your right.
Yeah, I'm like, dude, like, I'll be sitting there next to a dude, and he'll be just like, yeah, the one with the rape. And I'll just be like, it's one of those, like, almost out-of-body experiences kind of thing. Because it's like, did I just hear that? Like, casually, some guy just said that. Like, I mean, I'm not going to lie, the first time that I encountered something like that, I did have kind of a, what am I doing with my life moment.
I knew exactly what I was doing, because this is the first anime Boston I had been to. I had just turned 18 like a few months ago, so I'm gonna roll up to the Hendane booth and buy some Asuka Dojins.
But did you ask specifically if it was rape?
No, I did. No, that was not
okay.
Me.
Look, this was like a little like Filipino guy. That was the weird thing. It almost looked like he could have been mistaken for a kid. Because you know how short he was and kind of like slender build and all that.
Yeah, so they definitely had to card that guy.
Oh, for fucking sure. Like, I mean, you could have put this person on your like shoulders and they would have looked like a kid. Kind of. Please don't do that.
Okay.
But yeah, you know what I mean.
But it's like you're 99.9 times out of 100, the only people you're going to encounter being enthusiastic and being unapologetic, liking what you like, are other people who like what you like. The other 0.1% are losers.
So yeah, I mean,
ridiculous people who get by off of downing on other people because they haven't figured out that they can generate their own positive emotions by liking shit and by consuming shit they like and by internalizing, hey, I really like this thing and I'm gonna try and seek out other people who like it because they're too deep in this bullshit paradigm of, hey, we gotta be ironic about everything to protect myself from other losers.
Well, now that you say that, as an aside about all that, this is another example of basically how the kind of community works, I think. Like you said, the guy behind the Hindane booth or whatever, he noticed I was talking, or I don't know if I was wearing a shirt or I was talking about something old, some kind of old show or whatever. And somehow we were talking about Outlanders, which is this one-shot OVA. And he's like, oh yeah, we actually got a thing on that created by the person who actually drew it originally. And I've got it. It's like a doujin, and it's a pretty big one too.
Well, it's like,
but it was created by the same guy who created Out, like official, and it's his actual work and everything. And it said you might like that just because he heard me talking about Outlanders, not even referring to being at the booth, just bullshitting next to my buddy next to me.
Oh yeah, it's like not even in conventions, but like there's the reason I wear a fucking Roy Fokker Skull One jacket just out in general public. I was
the same reason I wear like a Slayer jacket.
Bingo. I was out in New York City for Anime NYC. We were walking back from this Korean barbecue place in the shadow of the Empire State Building. We step into this little convenience store to look around and buy some stuff, and just another one of the customers recognize the SDF-1 Skull Squadron on the back of the jacket, and then we had a little conversation about anime, just like that. No one's gonna shit like no.
And anybody who does isn't worth your time.
And anybody who does isn't worth it. People are scared of being shit on for liking anime. 99% of people don't know. And the remaining people who will shit on you, they're fucking losers.
They're also weebs themselves.
Yeah, exactly. Here's the other thing. They're weebs themselves. They're just in fucking denial, and they're going to be miserable until they understand, you know what, maybe I should spend infinitely less time shitting on people and infinitely more time seeking stuff out that I actually enjoy.
Oh, and before somebody says anything about this in the comments or after the show's over, there are actually a ton of women at Hindane.
Yes.
Oh, absolutely.
My lady included.
Well, there you have it.
Bingo.
My lady will find the Hindane booth before I do.
When we did I mention that when I was in Texas last time, that was the first place we went, because it's always nuts if you don't get there early.
Mm-hmm.
It's just like I said, it's Lord of the Flies kind of going on. But it was really funny because we had God. We had we had speakers in our backpacks blasting music while we were running down the thing. Like my buddy had fucking Anthrax or something blasting while we were making a beeline down the aisle. It was pretty funny. It looked like we were special ops or something the way we were moving. Just gotta get to the porn.
That's how. If you got a place to be, that's how you gotta move through the crowd in the dealer room.
But we had music blasting out of the back of our backpacks the entire time, so it just looked funnier, like some sort of be-all-you-can-be level shit. Which is probably an interesting slogan if you were buying futa porn. Not that I was, I'm just saying.
Yeah,
in any case.
We should probably end the episode. We've mumbled on past their point here.
Yeah, so that'll be the show. The email address is ntrradio@gmail.com. The website is ntrradio.net. You can find VZ stuff at vzmk2moemekagatai.wordpress.com. You can find his book, The Big Book of Idols, at thebigbookofIdols.com. hit up
Hopefully
iyashike.moe.
print version by the end of this year.
Yes, indeed. iyashike.moe is where I write my stuff. You can check that out. You can check out the store there at iyashike.moe/store for the NTR Radio shirts. You can check out Shinakiba Anime Goods, which is where I sell half-naked anime girl figures at shinakiba.moe. Hit me up on Twitter at TAnubis, VZ up on Twitter at VZMK2, KGods up on Twitter at Immortal_KGods, Shinden9 up on Twitter at Shinden9, the show up on Twitter at NTR_radio. Our friends do the Bakugaijin show and Otaku Midnight. Both those podcasts are really good. You should listen to them. TheGeekyPanda.net is where the Geeky Panda, my good friend, does his stuff. Check his stuff out as well.
And he gets owned at what I think was Ace Combat.
Yeah, you can check out the clip where I punked him in Ace Combat. That's somewhere. You can probably find that somewhere as well.
Which was utterly funny.
It's hilarious. It took a week and change and cost me $200-something, but it was worth it.
Like the look on his face was great. Like, no, he had that like, no look on his face. It was pretty funny.
In any case, I'm Tom Forster Anubis.
KGods.
And I'm VZ Mark II.
I am Shinden9.
And even though we're brought to you by cucks like you every time we say it, this is NTR Radio.